I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime.
This is so bad.
No tax on Social Security benefits.
I had to scream even at the end of this. I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's so bad. All he's doing is repeating the Doge talking point lies. We found so many people that are on Social Security illegally. Start by paying your taxes. Bro, this is embarrassing. This is making me
want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible.
This is making me be embarrassed to be a part of the Democratic Party. They're sitting there fucking holding up little whiteboards with pithy little phrases written on it. What, are you gonna write "Love Trump's hate" next? This is so bad.
And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen.
Trump just he just said, oh, you're never going to have to deal with unelected bureaucrats, like deep state bureaucrats. Elon Musk is in the fucking chamber. He's there.
With our other policies, we'll...
You did this.
Today, all...
Okay, this is really annoying.
In fact... Already, numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world.
Honda's announced a new plant, huh?
And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country.
It now plans to build a new Civic model in Indiana for May 2028 with an expected annual production of around 210,000, one of the people said.
And all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025, and it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country. First term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily.
And we're talking about electric cars.
Other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was. And so
we're committing a felony by asking for pronouns in this chat.
Want to be accused of April Fool's Day? That's not just one day. Was cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
Listen, these tariffs are completely meaningless. There's no reason for these tariffs. Why do we have a tariff? Out of spite. These are literal spite tariffs. He's saying the reason right now is due to spite. Because South Korea has tariffs on our cars to try to protect their auto industry. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid.
I did it with China and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last
Rick Scott.
3 months about Mexico and Canada.
Someone get Hassan in
we have
here.
very large deficits with both of them, but even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing
fucking God.
hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer. Thanks to our America First policies we're putting into place, we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election...
It's so funny. I mean, you can talk about fentanyl deaths. When Donald Trump got into office in 2017, he did nothing except exacerbate it. In 2020, you had a giant leap from 36 to 56. That's 20,000 deaths. And then underneath Joe Biden, it plateaued and it actually started dropping in 2024.
If Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment.
Why does Mike Johnson look like some kind of Pixar character? He looks like the type of warm,
building their plants here instead of in China.
like the warm, folksy elder that turns out to be the villain at the end of the movie. He's got that very soft and empathetic looking face, but then it turns out that he's a complete monster. Meanwhile, J.D. Vance just looks like he looks like a shitpost, man. Like, he looks like what those memes of Charlie Kirk's face used to be. Except that's just JD's regular face.
And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people, and they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to.
Bro, this is so fucking stupid. No.
New trade policy will also be great
oh my
for
God.
the American
Spencer,
farmer.
now I can't unsee the Cabbage Patch Kid. Even down to the one misshaped eye.
Into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies, they're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in.
What the fuck is he talking about?
They hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will
the goods that we get in from other countries are dirty and uninspected.
Our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen.
So what are the tariffs that he put out there? All right, let's just look up the Trump tariffs.
And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raise 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40.
All right, while he's going on, it's like this is the issue with Trump. I'm just going to mute this shit. He's just, and I guess with all Republicans, but he just lies. All he does is lies. Like he's talking about the Doge budget cuts and how they found all of the fraud and Social Security payments. Like those are all lies. Social Security does not pay 150-year-old people. You know, it's not like over 3 million 150-plus-year-olds that are getting Social Security checks. It's completely made up. And I mean, listen. Republicans obviously lie. They don't actually care about making your life better, but they say that they want to make your life better, and they say they're going to make your life better by giving tax cuts to rich people. But then when you have the CHIPS Act, which is literally like giving tax credits and also like subsidizing when it's giving tax credits and subsidizing companies that are specifically making like microchips in the United States, even then he's against it, even though it's like the liberal kowtowing to the conservative view on incentivizing production. It's like, we're not going to actually fund it ourselves. The government's not going to fund it itself, even though we're basically still paying for it by just simply not taxing them. It's essentially the same as paying for it ourselves. But we're going to just like, you know, give specific tax credits. That's the whole liberal bullshit way of, and it's like kowtowing to conservatives. It's their favorite way of actually getting stuff done. But even that's too specific for Donald Trump. Even that's too specific for conservatives now. Where now they're like, oh, well, we don't have to pay them to produce that kind. We don't have to pay them to come in and do chips. We're just going to like tariff. We're just going to tariff foreign production and give tax cuts to the wealthy anyway. Just blanket tax cuts to the wealthy. So even giving tax cuts to the wealthy for specific things is too far for these conservatives now. It's crazy. There's no way to appease them. And it's just because they don't actually care about making your life better.
And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers,
okay, hold on.
gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities.
We need to sue the United States because they have too many guns coming into our country.
Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies. They are now strongly embedded in our country.
Yeah, Mexico is literally suing the United States.
Getting them out fast.
Bro, okay, shut the fuck up, Donald Trump. Mexico is literally suing the United States for $10 billion against U.S. lawmakers.
Our senior Washington correspondent Devin Dwyer has been following this.
So Mexico is literally suing us for $10 billion because so many of our guns are crossing the border illegally, and it's creating like a big issue that Mexico's like, we're gonna have to hold the United States accountable. Guys, I think our country is like way too far gone right now. I think our country's actually gone. We're going to have to be held accountable by outside forces like Mexico, like Canada, like the European Union, even China, heavens forbid. But China's a step above the United States, and it's a step above Russia. It's a step above the axis of evil, which is US, Russia, and Israel right now. So we're going to have to rely on like being corrected from outside forces because our country is just so far gone in the hands of capital.
Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member.
Oh,
Who was
nice.
arrested while trespassing across
Let's see how
Biden's
racist this rhetoric is going to
open
be.
southern border, and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren.
J.D. Vance's baby picture. God damn it,
Last year, I
Spencer.
told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain.
I know. Can we
That's
deport
why
Elon Musk?
the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's very strong.
That's the
powerful
only
act.
fucking bill you've signed into law. How many other bills has he passed? Bills.
It's called the Laken Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken
That's
Hope
literally
Riley.
the only fucking bill that this goddamn that's the only law that's been done in 2025 so far. This country's an embarrassment. It's literally just Donald Trump being a fucking dictator and then Congress twiddling its thumbs.
Thank you very much.
Dude,
Since
fuck this
taking
country.
office,
This is
my
such a joke.
administration has
This is such a
launched the
joke of a
most
place.
sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation, we must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
Did he just thank himself for a lie? Bro, this is actually like a dark thing that he just said. He's like, oh, the Democrats kept asking for legislation, but we just really needed a new president. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to like completely ignore all legislation, which we already knew, but it's like a stark reminder of this.
Biden didn't just open our borders, he flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and
He actually can't
Springfield,
shut the
Ohio,
fuck up
buckled.
about Biden. All clap to their demise of darkening skies with smokes. Yeah, that's actually a good
Destroyed.
comparison.
Just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know, Alexis Nungary from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are two illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration.
So far we have monsters, savages.
The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis,
I've always thought it was cringe as hell
we
when
would always remember
the
your
two,
daughter,
and like
your
the Speaker of the
magnificent
House and the
daughter.
Vice President would
Earlier
stand up
tonight,
behind the
I
President
signed
and
an
clap.
order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from
He's
where
like,
Jocelyn
she
lived,
loved animals so much that she
you'll
even
find
loved
a
the dirty
magnificent
animals that took her hostage.
refuge.
Jessica was an animal lover.
34,000-acre
That's why I took her to
sanctuary
McDonald's.
for all of God's
If
creatures
Jessica was here
on the
today,
edge of the
I'd take her to my favorite McDonald's and we'd get a Big Mac. Oh, she'd love that Big Mac. I'm sorry, guys. Oh my God, it's still on. It's still on like this. Anyway, I do have to give Trump credit for this. He didn't lie about this. It looks like border crossing, or at least enforcement encounters, which is ironic because if it's anything like the CDC numbers tracking disease cases, or like when he's talking about COVID, where he's like, we should just stop tracking the numbers of COVID cases. Maybe that's why it's down, because they're simply not reporting it as much and their reporting apparatus has been completely destroyed. But if we're taking these numbers at face value, like, of course, this like bloodthirsty anti-immigration rhetoric has dramatically decreased the amount of immigration. And I think you can, like, that's playing out even if you just listen to, obviously, like, it's anecdotal, but just in terms of interviews, you can probably see there has been a change in migration. Okay, finally, did he shut the fuck up about that woman or that 12-year-old girl that loved animals? They're monsters. They're savages. We gotta kick them out, folks. They gotta go.
And that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever.
Isn't the Laken Riley Act, isn't the point of the Laken Riley Act so that you don't have to put them in jails?
Roberto Ortiz, great guy.
Oh my fucking God. So he literally just has like a menagerie of victims of illegal crime, or I guess undocumented immigrant crime. He's just parading them out one after the other. That's what NYPD used to justify their stop and frisk quotas.
In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande, near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them, Roberto saw that his partner
I wonder what country the guns came from.
He leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the.
How long is this speech supposed to be?
And it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took, and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much.
Oh my God, he kisses the president. So he's a border patrol agent? So let me get this straight. This guy went to a place called Cartel Island and then got in a shootout with cartel there. And that's what we're supposed to be applauding? Sounds kind of...
Territory to the immediate
doesn't
south
sound
of our
like the
border
fucking
is now
smartest
dominated
decision in the
entirely
world.
by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security.
Donald Trump's gonna find the cartel leaders and be like,
America,
I need this guy for my cabinet. Come on, Martinez. Go back to Cartel Island. Find those guys. I need them for my Mexico czar. They're rapists. They know torture. I need guys like that.
Because of our tariff policies being imposed on them. Think of this. Handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever.
What the fuck is he talking about?
But we need Mexico
29
and
cartel
Canada
leaders were handed over?
to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder, President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns.
So Donald Trump imported 29 cartel members just to try them in our criminal justice system.
Has been turned upside
Isn't
down
the whole point of the Laken Riley Act to deport criminals that aren't American citizens?
Virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck.
Bro, he looks so fucking bad. Like, he's basically completely bald on the top of his head. And he's just, his comb-over is hanging on for dear life.
Thank you. Thank you, Cash.
Kash Patel does not seem that happy to be there. I know he has he's been kind of butting heads with Elon Musk.
They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job.
Dude, police officers are literally the biggest fucking bitches in this country. He's like, we're giving them the care, attention, and respect that they deserve. So you're not actually giving them anything. You're just like making them feel good by calling them out. It's because Republicans and Democrats both fucking support the police. It's just that when the police kill a black person or a minority group, Republicans are happy and Democrats are like embarrassed that they have to support the police.
Police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great
Now, Trump should have Eric Adams like hook him up on one of those turkey flights and get a hair transplant there.
The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest. And we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets.
Got beaten up, and the one cop that died on January 6th.
Stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here.
This is literally just fucking crime. But it's like gore porn that he's putting out.
Death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer.
This is what I say when I say, like, this is what I mean when I say he's throwing red meat to his base, because he's doing all of these economic scams to appease his oligarchs and also to personally enrich himself. Like basically pump and dumping his cryptocurrency, using crypto as like a reserve, like creating reserve of cryptocurrency that the US government has, and talking about invading Greenland for their natural resources, trying to do this predatory deal with Ukraine for Ukraine's natural resource, basically personally oh my god, I thought that was like a 3-year-old kid. Wait, is that a little kid? Okay. Is it? It must be, right? To pull a line from The Sopranos, whatever happened to the strong silent type? That's the type I like. Gary Cooper, who's strong and silent. We can never have that. We all have to like kiss the fucking asses of police.
DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that he survived his brain cancer surgery. Oh god, get RFK off the screen.
Since that time...
Anyway, so like you have all of this cash grabbing. I mean, the whole idea of the tariffs is to destroy the economy so that the rich can buy up all of these failed businesses and further consolidate their power. Everyone's going to lose, but the rich are going to lose relatively less than the non-rich. And when I talk about the rich, I mean like the multi-billionaires. Guys like Donald Trump, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. All of these guys are going to lose way less than people like you and me. Even people that are business owners. Even people that like build cars and own factories and export widgets to Norway or whatever. People like that are going to lose out a lot too. So you have like Donald Trump doing all of this imperialism and this economic warfare, the tariffing to enrich himself. But you simultaneously have him completely sticking with the just casual cruelty and evilness against regular people like immigrants, like talking about criminals like they're the scum of the earth and they should basically be executed, because that is what gets his base off. They enjoy it when they see an immigrant getting deported, or when they hear about inner city person attacking a pretty white girl. That's what gets them fired up. And so Donald Trump can like basically do this whole rug pull on the entire fucking economy and then jangle keys, and that's going to be good enough for his base. Like, look at this fucking zombie. This fucking husk of he's basically just an animated corpse right now. He looks horrible. You have this guy who's like this whole vaccine skeptic, and that's another like red meat that he's throwing to his base for them to devour up there. Oh, we have a guy who talks about how COVID-19 was genetically engineered to make the Ashkenazi Jews in Israel less affected by it. Oh, where we signed my one fucking piece of legislation that I signed so far was the Laken Riley Act, which is basically strips away undocumented people of their due process, their right to due process. Oh, the worm is definitely in control of RFK. Yeah, I mean, how much fucking did he cut to disability?
So we're gonna
cut SNAP benefits, that's for sure. He's cutting Medicaid, and he has the fucking gall to bring on someone who's like survived a surgery and shows them as someone that he's like trying to highlight in his administration. How many fucking measles deaths do we have in Texas right now? Because of this goddamn worm-brained freak. Well, I don't know how many New York officials report the second case of measles. I don't know how many deaths. I think there was just one measles death. Oh my god, fuck the New York Times. I can't read this shit because they're making me pay. All right, what is he saying about this?
Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology.
How is this the world we live in, bro? How is this the world we live in?
I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth.
All right, so we're gonna start taxing the Catholic Church then, right?
Criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie.
Bro, this is so fucking stupid. So they can't even socially transition anymore.
And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you.
Yeah, dude, the U.S. needs to be stopped. The U.S. needs to be stopped. They've gone too far.
It's out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better?
This is like 1984 type shit.
Our service
Don't believe your lying eyes.
activists,
You're doing a wrong thing.
Ideologues, they will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations.
Why do all of these fucking generals look the same? Pete, congratulations. That's 1 month. You got your 1 month button of not drinking. Good boy, Pete.
He's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that
Bro,
in January,
Pete
the
Hegseth
US
isn't
Army
into
had
the
single best
non-white
recruiting
movement.
month
Let's
in
just put it
15
that way.
years, and that all armed services are having among the best.
Why do these guys all look like
ever in the
slightly off Xerox copies of each other? I guess this guy looks a little bit different. Like, what is happening here? It's like their physiognomy is all morphing into the same person.
A few months ago, where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit.
I think Donald Trump did talk about eggs, and
now we're having the best results.
I think he said like
just
they're
about that we've
cheaper
ever
or
had.
something.
What a
I don't know.
tremendous turnaround.
I was listening on the radio.
It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you.
I mean, that's just not true.
We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a six-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point.
Oh, he said Biden made them so expensive.
And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets.
That'd be pretty funny if it got rejected. Oh, we saw you on the news. Actually, no. The answer is no. Okay. What are the odds Donald Trump just made that up on the spot? What are the odds Donald Trump has no contact with West Point at all, and he just thought that it would be a good, like, zinger to add that onto his speech? Where he's like, oh, yeah, he applied, and actually he's accepted. He's accepted, everyone. He's like, yeah, that really worked out good.
Focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA.
What? That's like the creepiest looking group of people I've seen in a long time. Those fucking generals that are there.
Wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even
Who
close.
the fuck is firing missiles into the United States?
Actually. And other places they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too. Right, Tim? Right? They should have it too. So I want to
Why?
thank you, but it's a very,
we don't need it.
a
We have anti-missile defense systems. Bro, holy fuck. We literally have like a missile warning system in South Korea to like monitor nuclear missiles that North Korea might fire at us. And Donald Trump wanted to get rid of it in his first term. It was literally generals stepping in and being like, no, you cannot like start a trade war with South Korea because we need to have a fucking like early warning missile detection system in there so that we can defend against missiles. And he's like, no, they're tariffing our cars. This is unacceptable. How much are we spending on bases? We have to go. It's like, bro, you're literally making the United States a less safe place to live in through tariffing all of these other countries. And I mean, that's what the fuck. Yeah, we just need, he saw Israel has an Iron Dome system, and he's like, we need an Iron Dome system, but we'll call it the Golden Dome. This is so fucking dumb. Swear to God.
Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1. but that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it. He got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes. And I'm either very, very happy about that or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco. He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland.
Oh my God.
We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security. And I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
Jesus Christ, dude. We're literally watching the fucking villains of history, man. These two fucking cackling demons sitting behind Donald Trump.
Very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Okay, so we're just done with the Greenland topic now.
Tonight I'm pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice. And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous
savage monster animals
to know very well.
And getting all the hits on non-white people today.
Were murdered, and the many people that were so badly, over 42 people, so badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day. Such incompetence was shown. That when Putin saw what
I mean, this is just naked imperialism, man. When he talks about taking over Panama, when he talks about making Canada the 51st state, when he talks about taking over Greenland, we're going to get Greenland one way or the other. This is just imperialism. When Donald Trump says that, yeah, like, we definitely want to get these for national security purposes, but then he's tanking relationships with Canada and Mexico over literally nothing. Like, fucking nothing. He says, yeah, we're not going to renegotiate our trade deals. He's the fucking person who negotiated the trade deal in the first place, in his first term. We're not going to renegotiate our trade deals again to give myself more advantageous terms. We're not going to have you come up with any, like, arbitrary hoops to jump through in terms of border security or, like, cracking down on fentanyl or deporting cartel leaders into our country so that we can try them ourselves. Which is like, don't you want to deport non-American citizens out of the country and you're importing them? Okay, whatever. He's tanking our relationships with them, but then he's citing we need to do land grabs in order for our national security, for national security reasons. So what is it? Like, it's quite obvious that it's just imperialism. He doesn't feel like he needs to negotiate with anyone. He doesn't feel like he's on equal ground with anyone. And he holds all the cards. And so he's willing to use like economic pressure. And now, of course, he's going to use military pressure for like Panama or Greenland.
With no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support
it's a smoothie.
Ukraine's defense, with no security, with no anything.
Not that bad, but could be better.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Oh, God, dude. They're so sycophantic. I mean, the Democrats are sycophantic, too, but... Nice. Nice, a shot of Elizabeth Warren.
People are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans, but I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying
They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not American young people, but they're white young people. That's why I want the violence to end.
Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe.
Talking about Russia and Ukraine?
Billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said, at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
I mean, bro, leave it to fucking Trump to get into a situation where Ukraine is at war with Russia and be like, how can this benefit me the most?
Wouldn't that be beautiful?
I know. We'll make Ukraine sign a deal that will give us access to their mineral reserves.
It's time to stop this madness.
Why, bro? Why? You're not giving them any fucking military assistance anymore.
War. If you want to end wars, you have to.
It'd be one thing if if Trump's like, okay, fine, you want more military assistance, then sign this deal. But you're gonna make the war end anyway. You're just gonna be like, okay, you have to like have peace with Russia now. Like we're not willing to invest any more military assistance into this war. Why the fuck would Zelensky give you access to the minerals?
Promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight.
Shit, is this an Israeli hostage? Was this a Russian prisoner? Oh, yeah. I need to cover Zelensky's interviews after the Trump interview.
To Mark and his great mom, we are delighted to have you safe and sound and with us. As fate would have it, Mark Fogel was born in a small rural town in Butler, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Where his mother has lived for the past 78 years. I just happened to go there last July 13th for a rally.
Yeah, please talk about how Iran had to try to have you killed.
And that is where I met his beautiful mom right before I walked onto that stage. And I told her I would not forget what she said about her son. And I never did I? Never forgot. Less than 10 minutes later, at that same rally, gunfire rang out, and a sick and deranged assassin unloaded 8 bullets from his sniper's perch into
The
a crowd of many
one
thousands of
thing
people.
that Trump said that I wish he wasn't lying about is at the Republican National Convention when he's like, I'm only going to say this once because it's too painful to repeat. I'm only going to say the story of my assassination once. When the bullet went whizzing by my head, and the ear bleeds a lot, you know, it's the bloodiest place of the body. The doctors all say it's the bloodiest place. There was even blood in my boot. That's the one time I wish he was actually telling the fucking truth. Wait, who's this chick? She looks super bored.
You know the story from there? He sacrificed his life to save theirs. 2 others, very fine people, were also seriously hit. But thankfully, with the help of 2 great country doctors, we thought they were gone and they were saved. So those doctors had great talent. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their 2 beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Thank you.
The girl in the middle looks like she does not want to be there. But maybe she's just crying. Holy shit, oh my god.
To Helen, Allison, and Kaylee, Corey is looking down on his 3 beautiful ladies right now, and he is cheering you on. He loves you. He is cheering you on. Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved.
She was self-soothing, but I also don't think she wants to be there.
Reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, they could just have resting, I don't want to be here face. Because all 3 of them have that same exact expression on their face.
Thank you very much. From the patriots of Lexington and Concord to the heroes of Gettysburg and Normandy, from the warriors who crossed the Delaware to the trailblazers who climbed the Rockies, and from the legends who soared at Kitty Hawk to the astronauts who touched the moon, Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who
Bro,
try
people
to
fucking
censor
hate the
us,
direction
silence
this
us,
country's in.
break us,
People hate
destroy
this
us,
country right now.
Americans are today a proud,
I know,
free,
this
sovereign,
speech is boring as
independent
hell.
nation that will always be free and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil of a perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways,
I think he's wrapping it up.
With American marvels.
He's talking about like the mythos of American
mighty Hoover
exceptionalism
Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge. They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age. These workers who poured their sweat
our most famous fucking man-made landmark is the Statue of Liberty.
These warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they
had. Is
the
U.S. flag always in that direction, or am I just too tired? Didn't Trump do something that got our soldiers killed to release info on agents of ours or something, right?
And it is our turn to take America's destiny into
I know they want to like give out information on the FBI agents that investigated January 6th, and that's probably going to get some FBI agents killed.
We are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth. We are going to create the highest quality of life, build the safest and wealthiest and healthiest and most vital communities anywhere in the world. We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we are going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond.
Dude, this is fucking embarrassing, having a president that's like unironically saying we're going to Mars. Anyway, guys, the American dream is dead. This whole like American mythos of we have like our ancestors explored the United States and they did manifest destiny. It's all fucking bullshit. I mean, they ethnically cleansed this land from Native Americans, and now we're just completely controlled by capital. We've always been controlled by capital. This country from the beginning was basically like a capitalist. It was just a capitalist project.
For the country our citizens believe in,
people,
for the country our people deserve.
Okay, that must be the end of the speech. But we have, like Donald Trump and his oligarchs have spent the last month completely destroying any kind of social fabric that this country had left. So, yeah, that's actually a good question about the flag. Anyway, so when he talks about like, oh, we're going to go to Mars, we're going to have, like, we're going to be respected around the world, just know that he doesn't mean you. He means him and his buddies.
Like nothing that has ever been seen before.
No, the United States flag is actually inverted. Because usually the blue spot should be in the top left, but with the stripes going horizontally. And it's the top left with stripes going vertically, so that means it's actually inverted. Trump disclosed declassified information to Russian government representatives, creating political and security concerns in the U.S. and its allies, especially Israel. Soon after the meeting, American intelligence extracted a high-level covert source from within the Russian government because of concerns that the individual is at risk. We're in the bad timeline. Oh no, we're definitely in the bad timeline. Like, this is the worst timeline we can be in. Anyway. I did kind of want to read the chat here, but whatever channel this is, Global News, they were actually doing a pretty, like, the chat was actually pretty anti-Trump. Smoking Mars meth, ADHD, alcoholism chat. Enjoy your broken healthcare and high taxes, Canada. Your broken healthcare. At least they have healthcare. Elon and Don from Mars. Why does he look like a dumb orange? Okay, the stock market is literally crashing, bro. Okay, that's actually kind of true. Donald Trump's disclosure of classified information. When did this happen? Did this happen recently? Handling Oval Office, 2017 Oval Office incident with Russia. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then he like dropped some information that the CIA thought might have endangered some of its agents. Anyway, holy crap, this is not good. Honestly, the Democrats should not be there. Oh, liberals literally think that if they do nothing, they're going to win an election, and that's enough. And it's just, I mean, it's so fucking sad to see them eating the absolute horrors of this presidency and acting business as usual. Like, they needed to do something dramatic. The Democrats in Congress needed to do something dramatic tonight, and they didn't do that. So obviously, like Nancy Pelosi or, wait, no, who's actually giving the rebuttal? Let's see, Congress Democrat rebuttal. Alessa Slotkin is to deliver the rebuttal to Trump's speech to Congress. Oh, fucking God. So Kyle Kalinske like had a video on her just trashing her, and yeah, she is not the direction that we want this party to go. So she won the swing state of Michigan last year. Will provide her party's response. She's a former CIA analyst. She became the youngest Democratic woman elected to the Senate at 48. Slotkin, Chuck Schumer called Slotkin a rising star. She's new to the U.S. Senate, but she served in Congress as a member in Michigan's delegation to the House of Representatives. She was first elected in Democrats' 2018 wave of success, flipping a Republican seat. She held the national security positions in President George Bush's and Barack Obama's administration. She served in Bush's National Security Council. Wow, great. So we literally have someone that served in George W. Bush's National Security Council giving the fucking rebuttal for the Democrats. She worked for the CIA and was served in Bush's National Security Council. Oh, God. Oh, she's a member on the Armed Forces and Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. I'm sure she has great politics on immigration. All right, hold on. I want Katie Porter back. If they hadn't shown up, he'd have filled the seats. Would he have? If he would have, I mean, I think, like, I don't know if he could have, especially if it was, like, last minute. Like, if they literally just didn't even make a big deal out of it and just didn't show up. This video is crazy.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the devious plan of the MAGA sellout and collaborator Democrats. So, as you all know, Hakeem Jeffries has been going around, first of all, not fighting MAGA, just not doing it, no idea what he's doing, not a leader. Also, he was on Stephen A. Smith's show blaming the far right and the far left, which is, if that's your takeaway in this moment, just step aside. Let somebody lead who knows how to lead and knows where to put the focus, right? So you have Hakeem Jeffries doing that. You have Chuck Schumer, who's been humiliating himself day after day, showing he doesn't have the spine to lead, doesn't have the ideology to lead. And, you know, you see people like Jasmine Crockett, who fights effectively, AOC, who fights effectively, Bernie Sanders, who's literally doing an anti-oligarchy tour, telling everybody what Elon Musk is doing, what Trump is doing, and what's happening right now. These are the people who know how to lead, right? These are the people who are fighters. Okay, well, the empire is going to strike back. So here's what we learned the other day. Chuck Schumer announced that Senator Alessa Slotkin is going to deliver the Democratic response to Trump's State of the Union address. The State of the Union is
the
tomorrow,
rising
and
star.
there's always a Democrat who responds. So he picked Alyssa Slotkin. Okay, well, what do we need to know about Alyssa Slotkin? She voted for 8 of Trump's cabinet members. 8. She voted for the Laken Riley Act, the right-wing immigration bill, which killed due process for immigrants. She was a George W. Bush national security advisor. She was the first Democrat endorsed by Liz Cheney. She's pro-Israeli genocide, pro-TikTok ban, anti-student debt relief, and also, by the way, I forgot to add this one, but she's also anti-Medicare for all. So she is, across the board, a MAGA sellout collaborator. Her idea for the Democratic Party is, let's be more like Trump. Let's copy their policy agenda, right? Okay. George W. Bush.
Pro-TikTok ban, yeah, of course. Yeah, so this is like the quintessential Democrat that basically is a representative of Kamala Harris's campaign. Campaigned with Liz Cheney, pro-Israeli genocide, is willing to work with like the more moderate Republicans like George W. Bush, and voted for the Laken Riley Act, and is like, oh, well, you know, I'm taking a nuanced approach to voting for Trump cabinet members. This one I can see a little bit of. This is the exact person that the Democrats ran on last time, and they got their fucking asses handed to them in an extremely easy election. Guys, the Democrats fucking shit themselves in this election. It was not a hard election. Donald Trump was literally a fucking convicted felon, and the Democrats couldn't get out of their own way. They ran with the man who was a zombie until it was proven in front of the entire country that Joe Biden couldn't form a coherent sentence. And then the Democrats acted like they were surprised, and they had to scramble for 2 weeks trying to force Biden to drop out of the race so it wouldn't be an absolute embarrassment. And then they get Kamala Harris, and she runs on like the most blandest milquetoast policies possible, like literally fucking possible. Oh my God. In a time when people were demanding change, Kamala Harris ran on more of the same. It was crazy. It was like, dude, this was a historic anti-incumbency year. And the Democrats had a perfect chance to get rid of their incumbent candidate and replace them with something new. And even with seeing all of the anti-incumbency throughout the entire fucking world, they campaigned on being the same. They had a historic chance and they blew it. So, yeah, with all of these fucking policies. So anyway, I just want to skip to the part where they talk about how more than a few stuck out to playbook, because Kyle is like freaking out. It's fucking hilarious.
Move away from the dominance. Ban far left candidates against that, not at all. But she did that, and Trump's in the White House. So to say, hey, let's keep doing the thing that we did and act like it's some revelatory new thing, like this, that's not new. So basically, they're not saying anything with that first one. More. Democrats should ban far left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests, and move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate. Oh my goodness. I'm going to read that one more time. Move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate. Ladies and gentlemen, to the extent Democratic policies did not align with the broader electorate, it was the fault of big donors, not small donors. They invert the reality completely. If you are taking money from Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, if you are taking money from Wall Street, if you are taking money from massive multinational corporations, and you are in favor of their agenda, that is what puts you out of lockstep with the American people. They literally had the exact wrong takeaway. The correct takeaway is, oh my God, we need to cut off all big money to our party. We don't want billionaire robber baron money. We don't want corporate PAC money. We want to raise through small dollar donations. That was the takeaway. Because the right, they have their argument, their story. Hey, blame trans people and immigrants for all your problems. That's their story. The Democratic response to that has to be, no, the problem is not trans people. It's not immigrants. Those are our brothers and sisters. The problem, it's the robber barons. It's Elon Musk. It's the billionaires. It's the corporations. They've bought our system. They've rigged our system. And now we're functionally in a fascist oligarchy, right? The narrative, the story is right there.
They should push back against far-left staffers and groups that exert a disproportionate influence on policy and messaging. Candidates should get out of elite circles and into real communities, e.g. tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants, churches, Oh my God, all of those are fucking conservative. Holy shit. The Democrats literally just want to be Republicans. And I mean, I don't fucking blame them. I don't blame them because Republicans don't have to pretend like they actually care about the American people. They can just be like, no, I hate trans people and I love big businesses. And they can tell the truth. Like, the Democrats don't give a fuck. The Republicans don't give a fuck. The Democrats actually have to care a little bit, and they have to balance. Oh, well, I think we should means test. Like giving lunches to kids because we don't want to like get rid of contracts too much, and they have to like balance getting donations. They have to balance getting donations from people and trying to make their constituents happy. The Republicans don't have to do that at all. Okay, let's just relax. Wanted to watch this for a while. Honestly, at least if not resignations, like changes in leadership. All right, I wanted to watch Good Liars at CPAC.
Do you actually work for ICE?
We're gonna
No, not at all.
relax by watching some chuds get talked to.
Do you actually work for ICE?
No, not at all. Nope.
Explain the outfit.
It's $29.99 on Amazon. I would recommend buying a small if you're my size. This one's a little too loose for my liking. But yeah, if you want some entertainment, wear this and go to a Home Depot in a sanctuary city like where I live right now, Washington, D.C., and you'll see all the illegals. Not all of them, but you can maybe see a lot of them start to run away. And you feel like a group fitness instructor. It's really good.
And you actually think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious. Absolutely. What's not funny is them illegally...
There you have it, everybody. One of the worst people I've seen here at CPAC, and that's saying something. Appreciate it.
Fucking amazing treatment of a piece of shit like that. Just like cut him off mid-sentence, walk away. Because that guy is so fucking smarmy, he doesn't care about anything. So at that point, you just gotta belittle the person.
We are here at CPAC 2025, and just yesterday, the President of the United States took the stage here, wielding a chainsaw, saying he was going to cut through the bureaucracy.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
And then letting out a squeal. And then tomorrow, Donald Trump's going to speak here. So a lot of exciting events here at CPAC.
Chainsaw!
And so you would vote for Donald Trump in a third term?
Yeah, I think I would.
And what do you think about the Constitution?
I'm a constitutionalist.
What about the 22nd Amendment that would prohibit him from running for a third term?
Yeah, it would bother me, but
But you would still get your vote.
he would still get my vote.
Would you like to see Donald Trump run for a third term?
Of course.
Would you like to see Donald Trump run for a third term?
No. George Washington, when he first began his presidency, people were afraid that he would basically become a monarch, and some wanted him to be, because that's kind of what they knew.
Do you think that would be a bad thing if there was a monarchy here in America, I assume?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Donald Trump recently posted "Long Live the King."
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I think he's excellent at trolling, and I think a lot of people,
you know what would be a huge troll if he ran for a third term? That would be such a big troll.
But is that like funny for the president to be like,
rhetoric?
yeah, there you go. You took the words out of my mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you think that having a king goes with the American way of life?
It's just like they call on Elvis the king. King of rock and roll. Michael Jackson's the king of
What
rock
the
and roll.
fuck?
What's the
No.
difference? He's a king.
Bro, when you're a fucking dictator, flirting with the idea of staying in power for the rest of your life and you call yourself the king. This woman now thinks that's the same as calling Elvis the king? Okay, that's a new one. I haven't heard that response before.
Of the presidency for us.
He's the king of the presidency.
He is the king of presidency, and I believe that's what he was referring to, and he is our king.
Oh, he's the king
top of your
of presidencies. As Elvis is the king to music, Trump is the king to presidencies. Holy shit. All right, give him an A for creative thinking there.
You don't think he meant that he was the king?
No.
Would you like to see Donald Trump run a third time?
Certainly, I think constitutionally he can do that if he chooses.
He can run for a third term?
As far as I know, if it's non-contiguous terms, it's sort of one of those nether worlds.
You'd be in favor of them
It's a
changing the
nether
Constitution
world?
for him to run for a third term?
Yeah.
This guy just got out of playing Minecraft. So if it's non-consecutive terms, then you can just keep running. Why run for a third term? Why not just wait another 4 years and then run in 2032? That's like an infinite term hack that you can have then, as long as it's every other election cycle that you run.
Unless he turns into a Biden after 3 years, then no.
Would you be in favor of abolishing the Second Amendment?
No.
What about people who say, like, oh, there's been all these school shootings, mass shootings. We need to do something about the second.
Give everybody a gun.
Just give everybody a gun? That's the solution?
Yeah, that's the solution.
So he's in favor of socialism.
You can't.
We're in the netherworld timeline.
People, having an illegal gun, and the only way to defend yourself is with a legal gun.
Should teachers be strapped?
If I were a teacher, I'd be strapped.
Oh my fucking
what about
God.
a preschool teacher?
All right, got to be positive,
We don't know who's
guys.
gonna shoot those little kids, so yes.
What about a priest?
That's up to the priest, isn't it?
We have 18 million people on Social Security over 100 years old. People 200 years old, 250 years old.
Did you read about that though?
Stuff.
Did you read about that? How they were interpreting the code wrong, and that there actually weren't those people?
I don't think so. I don't think that's right.
Okay.
Everybody.
But why? Why do you think
about this stuff for years?
You think they were lying, but Elon not lying?
Exactly.
Okay. Them bad, Elon good.
Yeah, he has no reason to lie. He has as much money. He didn't have to. He used to be a Democrat. He didn't have to vote and help Trump get elected.
So all the other people who were saying Elon's bad. Elon good.
Yes.
Do you think things have been distilled and simplified too much for Americans? It's almost like being spoon-fed. This is right, this is wrong. People are falling in line a little too easily in this administration.
No, because we can believe what's happening.
Steve Bannon yesterday did like a little bit of a salute. It almost looked like he was doing a Roman salute or a Nazi salute.
Oh, Lordy.
And you did a little smile afterwards.
Well, he's not a Nazi, so get over it. It's probably a hand gesture.
Fight! It's probably a hand gesture. So he's not a Nazi, but it is a hand gesture. And it is a Nazi hand gesture. And it was Elon Musk doing it. But just because Elon Musk did a Nazi hand gesture, that doesn't mean that he's a Nazi, I don't see Elon Musk with his card that says Nazi Musk.
What were your thoughts on Elon Musk's hand gesture?
Same thing. He is not a Nazi.
That's a gotcha.
It's the.
Would you do that gesture right now?
Hi.
There you go.
But it goes. The hand goes to the chest beforehand.
Oh, love you.
That didn't feel a little weird?
He was saying from my heart.
Okay. Oh, well, you just did it there.
Yeah. That's not a Nazi salute.
I felt slightly uncomfortable when you did it, but that's fine. Shit happens, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Just as a Jew, World War II was like, whoa, so many millions of people, and so when people are doing the Nazi salute in one of the major parties, I'm kind of like, whoa, this is a dystopian hellscape. I'm saying it feels
This is a
little
dystopian
when
hellscape.
it's like, oh, they were joking,
Yeah.
or they did it.
I've got a hand
they just
gesture that
waved
involves
wrong
a
or
finger for
something.
these people.
Yeah, there you did it again. All right.
What don't you like about Lindsey Graham?
Well, he is working every day to scuttle Donald Trump's America First and MAGA agenda. Openly supporting.
Bro, this is the thing. Like, the Nazis were fucking horrible, right? But they actually believed that. They actually fucking believed that all of these racial inferior groups were destroying Germany, and they had to get rid of them. It's like, these people believe it, but they're not willing to say it. The Nazis would actually fucking say it. They'd go out there and be open with their anti-Semitism. They'd go out there and be open with their homophobia or their hatred of Russian like ethnic groups. They were just openly racist. These guys, they're just as racist. They're just as hateful. They're just as bigoted against like trans people. But they're not willing to say it. They always hide behind other shit. Oh, well, I hate immigrants because they're killing people, because they bring fentanyl over the border. I hate trans people because they're trying to like do surgeries on my kids at school, and one day I'm going to send Tommy over, and then Tammy's going to come home. It's like, just be open about it. Just be open about it. You have the fucking presidency. You have the Congress. You have the Senate. Your state is probably all red too, up and down the state. Just be open. What, you don't like being called a racist? You don't like being called a bigot? You don't like being called like a radical that wants to kill people? Well, you are. You are all of those things. You're being institutionally supported right now by our government and by media that does support like bigotry against immigrants and trans people. Just speak it with your chest. I'm so sick of hiding and like pussyfooting around this shit. Oh, well, that wasn't actually a Nazi salute. I mean, I know Elon Musk says Nazi stuff. He believes in eugenics. He actually hates Jews. He's repeated Jewish conspiracy theories and like anti-Semitic tropes. I know Steve Bannon is a white supremacist. He hates immigrants. He has no problem working with actual Nazis, people that say they're Nazis. And he did a Nazi hand symbol. But all of these guys that are basically Nazis and do Nazi salutes and use Nazi iconography in their campaign and other kind of propaganda rhetoric, they're not actual Nazis. Just fucking own it. Just own it. I'm so sick of this shit. Like, Americans don't believe in anything. Even the fucking racist pieces of shits don't believe in anything. It's like Fight Club. The first two rules are you don't talk about Fight Club. That's true. Who wouldn't rather have a Tammy than a Tommy?
Zelensky while Donald Trump's having a public feud with Zelensky.
Running around the stage, richest man on earth, running around the stage with a chainsaw, making weird like squealing, squeaking noises. And then, he did an interview with his sunglasses on, and he was just kind of, was it strange or no? Was it normal to you?
No, it was not strange. It was unique.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying it's kind of like, kind of a dystopian hellscape right now, because you have the richest man on earth who's now has a very important position in the government and is just awarding himself a bunch of money, firing hardworking people, and everyone's celebrating it. And he's running around on stage with a chainsaw.
We should be celebrating that because there's so much waste in the government.
So it's not a dystopian hellscape.
Like, dude, waste in the government, that's something that no one was talking about until Elon Musk started getting into government. It's not even something that anyone campaigned on. No one was mentioning waste in government, but now it's suddenly something that all conservatives care about. Like, bro, the conservative mind is like, it's like a dog's mind, and they just have like room for like two thoughts in their head. And so they have one thought, you say something else, it goes to the back of their mind. Now they have like two thoughts simultaneously. You say something, you say another thing, and they lose that one that's in the back of their mind. It's like this perpetuating amino acid building machine where they can only have like two pieces at a time. They just get led around by their nose. I don't know. Like, I really think at some point it's the conservative media machine where they are so... Like, the media machine for conservatives is so pure. It's so highly pressurized that they're just pressure blasting conservatives no matter where they look. They're getting the same messaging. And due to that, I really think that they just have like a one-track mind where everyone starts repeating the same talking points. And it just depends on what the Republican Party really wants them to care about. And obviously it's like well-crafted. It's well-crafted propaganda. It's not, oh, we want you to care about like a cricket falling down a well and drowning. They're talking about shit that they think they can get people on board with. But at some point, like, it is going to fail. And as much as these people are just repeating talking points to reporters coming up with microphones, the less like brain-addled ones are going to start thinking like, wait a second, like, why is Doge taking a buzzsaw to Social Security, firing hundreds of people from Social Security? Why did they just lay off 200,000 federal workers? Like, my cousin's a federal worker and he just got fired. He doesn't deserve to get fired. People are going to like, there's only so much propaganda that people can consume before the reality of the situation slaps them in the face. So it's interesting. It's like definitely a propaganda war against reality that the conservatives are waging right now against their own base. That's the sad thing, is they're literally just fighting their own base with propaganda.
Do you think the Bible should be taught in public schools?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they teach communism and the Communist Manifesto, and they teach evolution. And
but should
why
it be,
wouldn't we learn things?
Should it be
the Bible?
Should it be taught as a history book, a science book?
So hold on. You're a fan of government education in general? I think government education should be entirely abolished.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So no more public schools.
Correct, because it's a plank of the communist platform, like 10th or 11th plank, overtly. Why are we running Communist Manifesto planks as part of our policy here on this soil?
So you want to just get rid of public schools altogether?
I'm a former public school teacher. Absolutely, get rid of the public schools.
Was there an
Sure, he was
experience
a
you had
great
at public
school
school
teacher.
that made you feel that way?
They're entirely failed.
Okay.
And then I opened charter schools. They are entirely failed. And then I worked in private Catholic schools and other private parochial schools. They're entirely failed. Why?
For some reason, every school that I worked at was complete garbage. But it's not me. It's the system. It's everyone else that's the problem.
Because they're all accredited by the same people, and they're commies. They're godless commies who hate America.
Everyone involved in the education system in the United States are godless commies?
The people who run the accreditation processes.
Okay. So what do you think about the H-1B visa?
No comment.
You mean like Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Ice baby, Jesus
Not gonna be
Christ.
popular opinion, but I think America deserves the best of the best, and we can find the best outside. Welcome to America.
Oh, come on. That was a foul.
What?
That was a foul.
What are you talking about?
That was a foul. Come on, blow the whistle. You got pardoned by Donald Trump?
Did get pardoned on top of Supreme Court throwing away my only felony. They said it was wrongfully, which basically means politically applied. So, yeah.
So how did it feel when you heard that Donald Trump is going to be pardoning you for your actions on January 6th?
I mean, I knew it was coming, especially being a nonviolent, participant. But I just wasn't too concerned. I mean, I was
Send this guy
looking at a pretty
back
nice
to
hefty
jail,
check
dude.
for the wrongful imprisonment from the felony getting dismissed. But the surprise came
Just
with
like the massive
dismissal from the DOJ,
amount of douchebaggery
which, of course,
coming
you
off
could
of this
argue, well, that's
guy.
because Trump's putting his people
He
in.
needs to go back to
doesn't
jail.
matter, We won the election, and this you'll like this probably because I can tell which side you're on. But I think a lot more lives would have been saved if an actual insurrection had taken place.
Yeah,
It's just
that's a good point,
unfortunate that
Michael.
A real one didn't happen. But you know what? Maybe Trump is more prepared this time to make up for a lot of the stuff that Biden has done, but I think it's going to be tough. He needs a lot of Band-Aids, and there's lots of damage to undo.
Do you feel like you have kind of a second life now that you got pardoned by Donald Trump?
I think the potential, what I'm hearing from some of my friends, the reason I'm choosing up Northwest New Jersey is I've talked to some business partners that are January 6 defendants, business owners that have been out for a while, and I was sharing a concern with them, hey, as a January 6 defendant, I'm scared I might scare away some customers. Should I hide my identity in the business and make like a little Delaware S corporation, or maybe get a partner and put it in their name instead? And he says, no. You might scare away the occasional this person or that person, but what you get when you find the Trump supporters, and they're increasing their support for us, when you share, hey, I have a business, they're extremely loyal customer base, and they'll go get 10 customers for you, and they'll tip you great, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, so I'm not even gonna have to hide my name. We'll test it out, but they haven't.
And what is your first and last name?
Brandon Fellows, yes.
And so
what is
you
your
were
first
pardoned
and
by
last
Donald
name?
Trump. Now you've got the ICE immigration shirt. What are you doing with that?
What am I doing? I mean, hey, it's a good political statement. Get lots of compliments from it. I got to say, you're the first guy today that didn't like it in here.
Have you seen the young generations now? Like, they have no accountability whatsoever. My kids, I have 3 kids. I can't even get them to pick up the trash and throw it in the trash can.
You can't even get them to put the trash in the trash can.
No.
What do you think that comes down to? Leadership?
What?
Yeah.
And if you could give a
Bro, that's like that's the worst okay. It's Biden's fault, guys. It's Biden's fault. They saw Biden wobbling across stage and they're like, but mom, if Biden would do that, he'd fall down, so I'm not going to do that either. Biden setting a bad example. Have you ever seen Biden throw trash in the can? Put the trash in the can. Donald Trump had a part-time job at McDonald's. He actually, he didn't really put the fries in the bag. He watched someone put the fries in the bag. Have your kids done that? Has Biden done that? No. We need a strong masculine leader like Donald Trump setting an example for our children. Setting the example that if you work really, really hard and you have friends that are billionaires, you can go places in this world.
message to Donald Trump, what would it be?
Thank you for doing what you do. Every day feels like Christmas. Every day feels like Christmas now. It feels even better than the first time. So.
Are you worried that you're going to get arrested for impersonating?
No, I was just over at the Capitol press conference with my friends, the Capitol Police, who were so kind to me that day. Thank you for welcoming me in and being kind to me. But I was next to them.
They didn't welcome you in.
They did. I got a 28-second clip for you.
Inside the Capitol?
Yeah, I was inside. Went into my friend Jeff
this guy's
Merkley's
so
office,
fucking.
put
His
my feet
vibes
up
are
on
so
his desk
fucked.
and smoked a doobie. That was maybe not so good, but
Wait, you smoked weed in a congressman's office?
I didn't know it was a congressman's office, but they were smoking weed next to officers, and they were like, "Oh, it's legal." And I thought the police were just like, "Screw it," Kind of felt like a Boston Tea Party, and in the moment, I was like, "Well, that's not big a deal." Oh, it's on my TikTok.
Oh wait, you're talking about on January 6th or today?
No, it's a January 6th video.
We are here at CPAC 2025. Now, yesterday, some Proud Boys, some other January 6th participants were kicked out, but here at CPAC, they've come to their senses.
Bro, people literally just have fucking, like, object permanence issues. I swear to God, the people on January 6th thought that they weren't committing a crime because the police there weren't trying to arrest, like, every single one. So they're like, oh, well, the police here aren't looking, so I'm fine to smoke weed. I'm fine to do whatever I want because they don't see me. It's like, when your dad goes like this and plays peekaboo with you as a 22-year-old man, or that guy's probably like 26, 27, do you think he disappears? Like, how poor is your object permanence recognition?
And as you can see behind me is Stuart Rhodes, I believe, who was convicted of sedition, I think. But now here at CPAC, being celebrated and embraced. Truly an American dream story.
Wait, is this his TikTok video? That was honestly kind of depressing. Okay. I gotta play this. I was watching a bit of it yesterday. It was pretty good. It was pretty funny so far. I'm just going to play the parts where Sam Seder talks, and we're going to go through all of it until we get to the gamer lawyer, Alina Habba.
For a moment.
Then we'll cut it off. So Sam Seder goes on Piers Morgan, and so he has on this guy who is, let's see, I think his name is like Benny Johnson. Yeah, the Benny Show, Benny Johnson. And he's like a conservative conspiracy theorist. The Benny Show. So if we take a look at some of his episodes, Trump Attorney General drops new truckload of Epstein evidence. So it talks about Epstein. AOC going to jail for leaking ICE raid. Epstein files nightmare. Epstein list. FBI launches investigation into James Comey. Some more conspiracy theories. Deep state destroying evidence. FBI caught deleting files. New FBI director Dan Bongino speaks after shock Trump cash appointment with guests. House Republicans plan to deport Representative Ilhan Omar. Bro, these people, like, their obsession with AOC and Ilhan Omar is crazy. Like, just be a moderately attractive ethnic woman in politics, and obviously outspoken, and you'll like rile up the white conservative men. They fucking hate Ilhan Omar and AOC. I've never seen anyone talk about AOC and Ilhan Omar more than conservatives do. They talk about them nonstop. And then also Jillian Michaels, who is apparently a fitness coach on The Biggest Loser, who's also a conspiracy theorist. Oh, look at this. The For You is an interview with Cenk Uygur. All right, Cenk, keep it. Man, he's really putting a lot of work into going on to these conservative talk shows. Oh, and then an Anna Kasparian interview as well. Wow, TYT really representing the left by going on to these conservative talk shows. Explosive debate, gender transitioning, Matt Walsh, epic showdown, same-sex marriage debate, Jillian versus Matt Walsh. Okay, so Heather Hine, it was never vaccine, it's gene therapy with Heather Hine. So I don't know what these debates are. I really don't give a fuck to watch it. But anyway, those are Sam Seder's interlocutors, and also Piers Morgan is like obviously conservative. So anyway, they're talking about Andrew Tate right now, and it's just so funny. Sam Seder pulls out the classic, "I don't care."
Have enough information to know. It seems face any court accountability for the charges against them, either in Romania or the UK if they stay in the United States. But DeSantis wanting to not have them there. What do you make of that, first of all? I mean, I don't make much of it one way or another. I mean, this is a guy who's been celebrated in right-wing circles, and Sam
Seder's apathy is just unmatched in this game. He's like, the fucking conversation with Tim Pool where he's like, "I don't care. I don't know who that is. I don't care." And Tim Pool's just like keeps coming up with different ways to be like shoehorn Thanos into the conversation. That was such a fucking legendary clip.
I don't have enough information to know whether he is guilty of what he's been accused of doing. But to the extent that, I'm even aware of who the guy is, it's because he's been featured for so many years in right-wing talk shows and feeded in those circles. So, it sounds like DeSantis is mad at somebody, and it's quite a coincidence that with Donald Trump in office, that these guys show up on our shore. But I guess time will tell. And what about Epstein? I'm interested in finding out what's in those files. Would love to have a revisit of Donald Trump's first labor secretary, who made the initial deal with Epstein back in 2008 as Attorney General of Florida, talking about Alexandria Acosta. I'm curious about that nexus, to be honest with you. Yes. It's really unclear to me how Epstein got such a sweetheart deal from that guy Acosta, and why that wasn't held against him by Trump when he appointed him labor secretary. But maybe we'll get some answers if these documents and information is released. Okay, Gillian, I will come to you for your reaction to those two stories.
Anyway, so then they interview this guy, and let's go back to this part. So this is Keir Starmer visits President Trump. I just want to skip to where Sam's actually talking. Okay, here we go.
Commentators have said this stuff on social media, but when you say it on my show, let me just respond on behalf of my country. There's been a lot of bullshit spewed about this. There's no actual evidence that Keir Starmer, for example, ever did what you just said. Similarly...
But is there evidence that this occurred? There's obviously
it clearly occurred, but he was director of public prosecutions.
But this occurred, and it's horrific. I think it's horrific in this country with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's horrific.
I agree.
I mean, right?
On that we agree.
Principles.
No, it's just about whether
you don't want monsters who are predators,
of course,
here in the country, and so listen, there is somewhat of a connection, but I understand, and nor do I pretend to be some type of expert on geopolitics. I focus very much closely here at home, and I appreciate Sam actually bringing up Alex Acosta, saying that there were higher powers that forced him to give Jeffrey Epstein a plea deal. Who the hell were those higher powers? Sam's right when he brought that up. I think that's insane, and I'd like to know.
Yeah.
That was during the Bush era. That was in the year 2008 when that decision was actually made.
Yeah, no,
and
I agree.
So yeah, again, I think that the guy's in big trouble.
Are we talking about what's this girl's name? Jillian Michaels? Is Jillian Michaels a lesbian? Is that why she has debates with Heather Hying and Matt Walsh?
But I've looked up the definition of marriage. I don't see it say. I mean, I got Wiki. I went to the well on this one. Merriam-Webster. Like, what am I missing? So Merriam-Webster.
What does Webster say?
The state of being united as spouses.
He's in cannibal forums. Yeah, you're not wrong. He does look like that.
I think Trump's being magnanimous right now. We were just at the White House for Kash Patel swearing in. Trump is in a very, very good mood. I think he's doing his best to like bring people into the orbit. And he's being Trump, right? So I think he's trying to strike a deal and make it work with the UK, our oldest ally, right?
Yeah, I mean, Sam.
That's the face of someone who knows they're bullshitting. Oh, Trump's being magnanimous. Trump's just being Trump, you know? He's being a Trumpy old man. He's making deals. He's trying to get... Dude, this guy knows he said nothing. He has nothing to say. I mean, he admitted that he doesn't have... he admitted that he doesn't know geopolitics, according to him. All politics is geopolitics.
Let's talk for a moment about the other big thing that's going on, which is this whole Doge stuff with Elon Musk. You... I think, posted that the idea that Doge is in any way about efficiency is absolutely a joke. They're not doing an audit. They're destroying the apparatus of our government. What do you base that on?
What do you base that on? 200,000 people getting fired. Doge actually, like, not just writing up a list of cuts that they would recommend to Congress, actually making cuts themselves. Cutting billions of dollars in U.S. government expenditures themselves, like unilaterally. And Piers Morgan's like, what do you base that on? What the fuck do you mean, what do you base it on? Just listen to Elon Musk himself. Him and Donald Trump tout how many cuts Doge has been making this entire time. How do you not call that a dismantling of the U.S. government? They would say it is a dismantling of the U.S. government.
Well, audits are done regularly of agencies by inspector generals. The first thing they did was to fire all those inspector generals and not replace them. A. B. Audits that lead to firings within a couple of days are obviously not being done. The notion that this is about efficiency when you're laying off thousands of IRS agents when it is well known that every dollar spent at the IRS returns for the government $6 or $7. You're clearly not talking about efficiency here as measured in any other way other than allowing wealthy people to get away with cheating on their taxes. I mean, I could go on, but there's absolutely no evidence that there's a single audit going on. To the extent that they've saved any money, it has been largely dismissed as clerical errors on their part, and we still have no substantiation about it.
I mean, listen, like in terms of the lack of substantiation, this was published February 21st, updated February 22nd, so like a week old. Look at this. Doge announced on its website, this was a week ago, that it has achieved $55 billion in federal savings since Trump's inauguration through contract cancellations, workforce reductions, and asset sales. All of these, obviously, like not an actual way to get rid of fraud or waste or abuse. They're just cutting programs and people that they think they can. Like, there's no reason to it. Though the published receipts add up to roughly $16.5 billion. So they're off on like a factor of 4. Like, they're literally 4 times over what the true number just adds up to be. Like, they can't even do addition. The overall projected savings may amount to as little as $2 billion, according to NPR. Over a third of the contracts listed on the Doge website wouldn't result in any financial savings if terminated. Jesus fucking Christ. So like NPR is fact checking your ass, and it's saying that you're literally like 27 times more than what you would actually save. That's just how poor the actual clerical work of Doge is. That's how haphazard they're being. They can't even correctly identify how much money they would be not spending in terms of the federal government. And then they've cut all of these agencies. Of course, like famously, they just fired 200,000 people. They're just gutting other agencies like Social Security, the IRS. They did get rid of the inspectors general that are supposed to be auditing government agencies and actually finding fraud. They got rid of them. So it's obviously like it's just Elon Musk's scalpel that he can use to excise whatever parts of the government he doesn't like.
So it's
well, that's not, hang on. That's not true. I mean, there's some of the stuff that came out about USAID, for example. Some of the way that America.
All right, so we got to rewind this a bit.
Audit going on, to the extent that they've saved any money, it has been largely dismissed as clerical errors on their part, and we still have no substantiation about it. So it's
well, hang on. That's not true. I mean, there's some of the stuff that came out.
Bro, it literally is fucking true. We just read the article. They claimed that. Okay, just once again. They claim that they achieved $55 billion in federal savings. But if you add up the receipts on their own website, it's $16.5 billion. That's like 3.9 or like 3.8 times less than what they claim. That's just according to their own words. Their math is wrong by like almost a factor of 4. But then if you actually like do any kind of preliminary research, it decreases to $2 billion saved because we've already spent all of the money. So if we take a look at an article and we just go like Doge spending cuts. All right, what if we just look up Doge cuts and news? Doge slashes nearly $1 million for alpaca farming in Peru. Other questionable grants. Did they actually stop the $1 million? Or did they say like, okay, well, we sent them $1 million and now we're not going to send it again? Let's just use this one example. Why is Fox News's size so shitty? Also, it's $1 million. Wow, we are really making a big dent. Grants that were canceled in the process, including $903,000 for alpaca farming in Peru, $364,000 to reduce social discrimination against recyclers in Bolivia. So what are these grants? The Inter-American Foundation, an agency given a $60 million budget to issue foreign grants, was reduced to its statutory minimum. One active employee, according to a statement from Doge. Okay, so you're firing employees, but they were still given a $60 million budget. Just because you cancel grants, that's not actually saving that's not saving the government anything. We still allocated $60 million to this foundation. Holy shit. Doge is oh my God. Doge is the perfect representation of what America is right now. No one knows what the fuck they're talking about. They just make up numbers and they actually use like idiocy and stupidity and think that those are virtues. If you are just bullheaded and you can look and go off of vibes and slash spending in different areas, they see that as a virtue. It's literally the podcastification of the US government. This is like our final form of idiocracy, man. People like even their own numbers, they don't bother adding them up and they just say any number that pops into their head. How do you get 55 when it adds up to 16? How dumb are you? You literally have to be like changing multiple zeros, like changing the place that decimal points are in multiple areas to get to that. That's how haphazard and just fucking careless and stupid people are being, and it's celebrated. It is really like it's the lowest that we can ever possibly be, because it's just people going in, not giving a care about being factually true or not. They don't care about that at all. They just say random things, random numbers. They point to different aspects of government. Like, what was that whole thing where it's like what newspaper was it where they're saying that like what was it, like the Washington Post or something? It wasn't on the Washington Post, but it was some newspaper is getting paid by people for using for like trying to change public perception changing, and they're like, oh wow, Elon Musk just exposed $400 million being used to change public perception on a national scale. And then it turns out that it was trying to fight against that, trying to expose it. Like, they just lied nonstop. And once again, it's celebrated by these people. You can make numbers say anything, but they're not even going off of the real numbers. They're literally just changing the numbers.
About US aid, for example, some of the way that American taxpayers' money was being squandered on ridiculous projects.
Oh, wait a second.
And it wasn't insignificant sums of money.
Wait a second. You can determine that you can have an opinion that it's squandered. I can have an opinion that it's squandered, but it's been appropriated by the Congress. And in America, we have actually both statutory, constitutional, and court cases that say the President of the United States and the executive branch cannot decide unilaterally that they're not going to appropriate money that Congress has appropriated. I mean, the line item video has been found to be unconstitutional. We have the Impoundment Control Act from 1974. We have Train v. New York City from 1974, which is a Supreme Court case which enforces that. What they're doing is fundamentally illegal. I mean, you may think that some of the spending is not worthy. I may think it's not worthy, but that's just not the way our government works.
Okay, Julian, you were shaking your head there.
Because it doesn't seem that the government is working. As a layman, when the USAID is exposed in the fashion that it has been, and all of a sudden we have this transparency that we've never had in my life.
Bro, what is the worth of talking to people anymore? Like, especially people that have podcasts, man. What's the point of talking to them? You say something, they're just going to repeat whatever they were going to say anyway. It doesn't matter. Sam Cedar didn't say anything about the government working or not working. He talked about the processes of government. And then she's like, well, it doesn't seem like the government's working. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. What do you mean the government's not working? What is it? Is FEMA not going out to people? Well, that's because of Donald Trump. Like, if you don't like aspects of government, certain aspects of government, or there are deficiencies in certain aspects of government, you can address those specific deficiencies. Saying government isn't working is a nonsensical sentence.
None of this stuff was hidden at all. None of this stuff was hidden at all. It's just that
so you're telling me that the average American knew that we were funding friggin' operas for trans people in who knows
If the average
where?
American was interested in what
knew this.
USAID was supporting, they
Come
could have
on,
just
man.
gone to
Do
the
you
website.
really believe that?
Yes,
Do you
it's
really
true.
believe that people knew this and this was common knowledge?
100% I
And there's
believe
no
it because it's
question
100%
that some of
true.
this was a
None of
slush
this was
fund for the
secret.
CIA.
Well, actually, you know what? The truth is, you can both be right here.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Sam is right that it was there.
Bro, holy shit. Sam's like, if people were interested in this, if people were interested in knowing what USAID was doing, they could look it up. And she's like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that that was in the zeitgeist of the American consciousness? Oh my God. Yeah. Because Republicans didn't give a fuck about slashing. Like, of course, they wanted to slash big, like big discretionary spending and also non-discretionary spending, like by attacking Social Security and Medicaid, which they are doing anyway. So yeah, Republicans cared about that, but the Republican voters didn't care about it, and I still don't think the Republican voters care about it. I really think it's all propagandists that are acting like this is a big deal, that we are sending $1 million to people in Venezuela to help them with their alpacas. Wow, guys, welfare for those welfare queens in Venezuela, getting those $1 million alpaca. Oh wait, it's only $1 million there. It's not even $1 million. It's $970,000 to people in Venezuela.
There to be found, and Gillian's right that absolutely nobody told the American people about the specifics. So actually, you could both be right.
You know what can happen in our process of government?
No, I understand. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't there. I'm not saying it wasn't there to be found. But Benny, it was only when Elon Musk and his young team of guys with their sabers got into it, they found this stuff, right, and told people.
They didn't find it. They just they publicized it.
Well, exactly. But that's how the Sam, that's how the American Sam, that's how the American people found out about it.
Authority to cut it. Yes. So Congress, Republicans control every house of Congress. They control the presidency. They could pass a bill tomorrow saying we don't want to fund these things. But what's happening when they cut USAID is you've got literally 400,000 meals for children who are technically wasting away. It's in Africa. Maybe my guests don't care about that. But the fact is...
Maybe my guests don't care about that. All right, Sam. Okay. Picking up some debate tactics.
Is that they're sitting in warehouses in Rhode Island and in Georgia right now, food that is pre-digested practically because these kids are starving, and it's sitting in warehouses, it's going bad, and they have no way to ship it because USAID has been shut down.
All right, Benny.
I'm sorry.
Benny?
That's not constitutional or legal.
Okay, Benny.
It's incredible. So I've heard the Constitution thrown around a lot here. All right, let's talk about Article 2 of the Constitution. The executive branch has a clause called the vesting clause. The vesting clause makes one single man that is elected by the whole American people the only position in the federal government that has the entire whole of the country elect him is the President of the United States, who is vested with the power to oversee the executive. And that includes congressional spending. That includes the functionaries of the government, including the commander-in-chief. There are appointed...
What? That includes congressional spending?
The functionaries of the government, including the commander-in-chief. There are appointed judges. There are elected at state and local levels, members of Congress, but only the president is elected by the whole American people. Now, I have a giant map in my studio. I don't know if your production team...
He should have pulled the XQC and done the worm in the background. But instead, he has to go to the district map. Dude, this guy's not saying anything. He's saying what? That the Constitution gives the president the power to determine congressional spending? That's just absolutely blatantly false on its face. As Sam was so generous to list out, there are multiple court cases talking about the president trying to use their executive powers to affect spending, and those executive powers being overturned by the courts and saying, no, that's illegal. That's not a part of your powers as the president. Sam literally listed you court cases where they've determined that's not in part of the president. That's not powers of the president. And this motherfucker was like, yes, but have you considered the idea that the president is elected by every American? Well, Congress is elected by every American too. Should they get unilateral powers? I mean, not every Congress isn't just one person, but as a body, they're more representative of every American because it's it's not a winner-take-all system in Congress. It still kind of is, but that on a state-by-state basis. This is such a nonsensical fucking a potato of an argument. And then he's like, have you considered that the president is elected by everyone? And now look at my map. Look, it is a beautiful map. It is a map of the districts of the United States of America. And even though Republicans have spent the last 4 years gerrymandering everything, and actually Kamala Harris probably should have won the popular vote and won the electoral college vote, I am still going to use this map Even though Donald Trump only won by 1.5 percentage points, I'm going to try to say that whatever he says, he is invested with the will of the American people. He is God now. Whatever he says, the American people are 100% behind him because look at this map. This map proves everything.
There it is. This is what America decided in 2024. In a landslide and with the popular vote, the whole of the American people decided to vest a single man, Donald Trump, to hunt down waste, fraud, and abuse. Because while maybe there are some type of programs that you might view as just, what I view as just is feeding the American people. What I view as just is filling the potholes, educating, healthcare, and the capacity to serve Americans.
To cut food stamps.
And so
it's just so fucking perfect. What I care about is feeding the American people. He's mid-rant and Sam's just like, they're cutting SNAP. Congress just voted to cut food stamps. Congress voted to cut fucking Medicaid, dude.
What America voted for was America first, and transgender operas in Chile isn't exactly America first. And to say that USAID was
said a lot of words, but you've said nothing. You haven't addressed the Constitution, the Supreme Court cases, the Impoundment Control Act. None of that. You can say that you don't think it's right to feed starving children in Africa. That's your prerogative.
Can we address the feed starving children?
Donald Trump. I can't believe you're going with the starving children. You're going with the starving children.
No, it does. I mean, it does other things that you don't like.
All right, let me.
But it also does this.
Allow the lady in the room to speak, please.
USAID money spent.
Chaps, let Gillian have her say.
On feeding starving children or
guys,
in Ukraine in 2014.
Guys, let Gillian speak for a moment. Gillian.
The feeding starving children thing is such a frickin' red herring. So first of all, the vast majority of this USAID bloat and corruption does not go to
Sam is so fucking precious. He's just like, how so? How is it a red herring?
that. Second of all, we have a frickin' red herring. So first of all, the vast majority of this USAID bloat and corruption does not go to that. Second of all, we have children starving here in America. But third of all, and what you don't know and what you have not looked into, okay, is that read a book. It's called Save 3 Lives, and it's by the Rodale family. And it has to do with the fact that our big ag companies went into the developed world to addict their soil to our GMO crops. It's a money laundering game. They can grow their crops in their...
Our U.S. imperialism is going into third world countries to addict their soil to our crops. Their soil is getting... Did I hear her right? Their soil is getting addicted to our crops? She said Save 3 Lives is the book, right? I'm trying to look it up. Oh yeah, here it is. Save 3 Lives, a plan for famine prevention. Let's take a look at this book. Amazon. Oh, Rodale. I typed in rodeo. He worked through the Rodale Institute to improve agriculture in third world countries, particularly Africa. Temperate zone farming practices have been disastrous in the tropics, he writes, and famine relief is not the answer. He notes that 90% of all people who die from hunger do so outside of famine areas. Rodale proposes a return to traditional agriculture with special efforts to rebuild the land. He advocates alley cropping, in which food crops are planted between rows of fast-growing leguminous trees. The trees are cut back for firewood, while branches and leaves are used for mulch, fertilizer, or livestock feed. Okay. Urging the reader to act to support sustainable agriculture and to help prevent famine, Rodale offers a workable solution. Replacement of indigenous farming systems, which sustained Africa for centuries with chemical-based, highly technological monocultural systems, has destroyed the ecological balance and left a legacy of hunger and poverty. Rodale advocates an action strategy involving a return to sustainable indigenous farming systems, alley cropping with leguminous trees. Okay, like this doesn't seem bad. I think this is like part of her wellness kick. A lot of like these conservatives will also have kind of like a anti-science and anti kind of modern farming technique, but obviously like there's a middle ground between adapting indigenous farming practices that are specific to the land and modernizing it with like GMOs and technology. But that is just a weird wording that she uses. And also, we're like, sure, so she's critiquing U.S. aid from a from an anti-imperialist standpoint. Is that what she's doing? She's like, no, the world shouldn't be reliant on U.S. aid and food supplies from the United States. We should be encouraging people to support themselves. It's like, okay, that's fine. We can encourage them to support themselves. That would cost money that would be spent by U.S. aid on that project of self-sustainability. And in the meantime, we should still give them food.
Soil far more efficiently and did for thousands of years before ConAgra and Cargill and Monsanto and ADM went in. You just don't know that because you haven't done your homework. So you're like, oh, there's children starving in Africa. When really, it is about billions of dollars going to big ag. That's what that's really about. And I've seen it firsthand when I went to South Sudan and stayed at a refugee camp. So don't play your starving children card. I can't.
Well, listen, it's not my card. It's just simply the reality. And the fascinating thing about
it is your card, though. Your game is like nobody's empathetic because children are starving.
We are talking
about
USAID is a percentage point, like literally less than 1% of the U.S. budget. But because there is this attitude amongst the, well, frankly, it's not just USAID. I don't like them cutting the IRS. I don't like them cutting the EPA. I don't like them cutting Labor Department.
This is fucking insane. They're talking, like, Sam brings up USAID as an example of good things that the government was doing that is getting cut as a result of Doge. Holy shit, dude. This fucking guy is pissing me off so much. Like, he's just scoffing at everything Sam says. It's pissing me off. Okay. I like put something over my screen so I don't have to see him. Oh God, it fell. Sam's talking about USAID and he brings up an example of why it's like actually it's kind of funny. So he brings up an example of why like Doge is bad because it's cutting funds that are allocated by Congress. And in this one specific example, like he just gave an example, this is a good thing and Doge is cutting it, leading to a bad thing. And then they're like, this is a red herring. You're talking about this one specific example. That's a red herring. And it's a red herring because we should like stop serving big agriculture. Like we should stop giving money to big agriculture. It's like, first of all, this is an example of U.S. imperialism, like through USAID. The example Sam was talking about wasn't saying that we're going to have big agricultural conglomerates moving into Africa and start farming Africa and then selling like their crops back to them, basically. That's not the example he's talking about. The example he's talking about is just foodstuffs rotting in storage units, waiting for the go-ahead to be delivered to people that are starving and need the nutrients. We're like, it's not a fucking red. The point I'm trying to make is it's not a red herring. Sam's just bringing up an example, and they're like, okay, well, there's other issues too. There's other issues in the world. Yes, we can address these issues, but we're talking about fucking. It's an example of Doge being bad. All right. Okay, let's continue.
Cutting the National Labor Relations Board. I don't like them cutting the FDA.
Do you like the level of USDA? Do you like the level of debt your country's in?
I don't think it's as much of a problem as you do. But here we know the debt shot off like a rocket with the Bush tax cuts and then with the Trump tax cuts, and they want to extend those. And so if we want to deal with the debt, and if that's a genuine concern, we can go back to the time in this country where we had the greatest economic expansion during the 50s and the 60s, when we had a top tax marginal rate of 90% of every dollar that would be earned over $470,000. Today, it would be $3 million. And if these guys are very concerned about the debt and deficit, we have a way of raising that money. We can go back to the greatest economic time of this country. So if that's genuinely their concern, we have that power to do it. I mean, we're not spending, as a function of GDP, we're not spending significantly more per capita than we were in those years. The problem is that we don't have the revenue. There's been huge tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires and presided over by two Republican administrations over the past 20 years.
Okay, Benny, on that point, respond.
I love it. I love it. This is my favorite argument I've ever heard on your show. I love it. Go to the American people. Sam, I beg of you, join the DNC, run for DNC chair. I'll do anything, okay? I want your ideas to be the ideas that Democrats bring to the midterms and to the 2028 election. More IRS agents, raise taxes to 90% of wages. I love it, Sam.
No,
How do
not
I get you in the chair, man?
90%.
How do I do?
Bro, is this guy on TRT? Because he looks like a fucking nerd, but he also looks like he tries to work out and gets in good shape, and he's pink as a fucking hot dog. Anyway, so completely did not respond to anything Sam Cedar said. Sam's like, if the Republicans wanted to balance the budget, they wouldn't do tax cuts, and in fact, they would raise taxes. And the guy's like, okay, well, you should run on making 90% of wages, putting a tax on 90% of wages.
Every dollar.
How do I do it? Where can I donate, Sam?
Just send the money to me directly.
It's the greatest argument ever. You're right, Sam.
Taxing millionaires and billionaires actually does quite well in terms of polling. And when Americans see what wealth disparity looks like in this country today, when they actually see the
he's so smug.
It's quite popular.
It looks like
he's so smug in his incorrectness. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how confident someone can be in themselves when they're dead wrong on an issue. He doesn't even have an argument. He's just like doing this bit where he's like, all right, Sam, run. Let's infect the Democratic National Convention with your ideas, and we're going to have the Democrats win again. Or we're going to see how the Democrats do in the midterms. Bro, they're already campaigning on this shit. I mean, not enough. There's still like a belligerent portion of the Democratic Party that's insistent on suckling up to Silicon Valley billionaires and trying to appease the donors as much as possible. So they're not accepting of this idea enough. But yes, this is a big deal. This is a big idea that Democrats should campaign on.
Like a federal government that's $37 trillion in debt, spending money on total bullshit.
You don't know what wealth disparity means.
And absolute and total fraud. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You can Google it and find out what it means.
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You don't know what wealth disparity means. You can Google it.
You can see what wealth disparity looks like in this country.
He's spazzing.
When they actually see the wealth disparity.
Yeah, we've seen
it's
wealth
quite
disparity.
popular.
It looks like a federal government that's $37 trillion in debt, spending money on total.
Oh shit. Okay, so I actually thought he was just changing the subject, but no, he literally says wealth disparity looks like a government that's in debt. That's what a wealth disparity is. A government that's in debt. Okay.
Bullshit.
You don't know what wealth disparity means.
And absolute and total fraud. Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question?
You can Google it and find out what it means.
Hey, Sam, why don't you answer a quick question? Why are the richest counties in all of America, the 5 major counties in the DMV right around Washington, D.C.? Can you explain to me, what do those counties do? Are there some mineral deposits there I don't know about? Did they strike oil? Is there some type of rich industry that's created around Washington? Maybe you can answer me that question. Why are those people so filthy rich? You don't seem to like rich people, so maybe explain why.
I can answer that question.
What does DC
You want me to
make,
answer it?
Sam?
It's lobbyists. It's lobbyists like all of the ones that have been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet and to political positions. Rich lobbyists for all sorts of these industries.
Donald Trump's cabinet is like the most it's the richest cabinet ever. Obviously, Elon Musk is there. Let's see. Trump cabinet wealth. Trump's billionaire cabinet. Here. Public citizen. Trump has tapped an unprecedented 13 billionaires for his cabinet. What the? Holy shit. For his administration. Here's who they are. President-elect Donald Trump has assembled the wealthiest presidential administration in modern history, with at least 13 billionaires set to take on government posts. They include a wrestling magnate. Oh yeah, Lisa McMahon. The education secretary, a New York real estate developer, the heir to a small appliance empire, the wealthiest man on the planet, with several being donors and close personal friends of the incoming president. In total, the combined net worth of the wealthiest members of his administration could surpass $460 billion, including the Doge co-head, Elon Musk, whose net worth of more than $400 billion exceeds the GDP of mid-sized countries. So even without Elon Musk, who's $400 billion himself, it's $60 billion, his net worth of his cabinet members. That's who Donald Trump has running this country. Other than Elon Musk, who we all know, $60 billion total. Not million, man. He's not, I don't think he's technically in the cabinet, but he is co-head of a chair of the Department of Government Efficiency. So he basically is. I think they're classifying him as like a special government employee, which you can basically say is still an administration official working underneath Donald Trump's administration. Including financier Warren Stevens, who has been tapped to serve as the ambassador to the UK, Con Air executive Leandro Rizzuto Jr., tapped to serve as the ambassador to the Organization of American States, Charles Kushner named the ambassador to France, and Tom Barak named the ambassador to Turkey. The wealth of Trump's current cabinet rivals only that of his first-term cabinet, which had a combined net worth of $3.2 billion, and dwarfs $118 million combined net worth of President Joe Biden's cabinet. So, I mean, Joe Biden's cabinet had $118 million combined net worth. Trump's first term had $3.2 billion, and then he blows it out of the water, once again, with $60 billion, excluding Musk, and then including Musk, $460 billion. And it's only going up, man. Like, literally, they were just using their positions in government to enrich themselves. So, this is disgusting. Yeah, I don't think this person should really be making the argument that it's the Democrats that are in the pocket of big money.
You supposedly have a problem with. I mean, that's where all the money is being made. It's not being made by federal workers. It's being made by lobbyists. And those are sent by corporations. If you will join me as part of my campaign that you're interested in me running the Democratic Party, in calling for Donald Trump to fire all of the lobbyists he's hired so far, it wouldn't leave many people left in the government. But if you'll join me with that, we can start to chip away at that problem you have with the counties around D.C.
We've just got some breaking news from this Keir Starmer Donald Trump encounter at the White House. In the Oval Office, Trump invited J.D. Vance to expand on his criticism of the UK for its free speech issues and alleged infringements in recent times. And he said, sitting opposite Sir Keir Starmer, we have a special relationship with the UK and our European friends, but there have been infringements on free speech. And Starmer hit back saying, we've had free speech for a very long time in Britain. It will last a long time, and we are very proud of that. So a bit of a battle, Benny. We talked just now about what was going on with the rape gang scandal in Britain, which was a proper scandal. Keir Starmer was not, in the end, proven to have suppressed any information about that. In fact, the opposite turns out to have been the case. He did more than his predecessor at Director of Public Prosecutions to try and go after them. But putting that to one side, I do think there has been some creeping infringement of freedom of speech rights. People getting, like grandmothers being arrested for stuff they're putting on Facebook.
Who the hell is this guy with the fedora?
Democratic society working how it should.
No, of course not. It's what the Gestapo used to do in East Berlin when half of the entire city were spies for the federal government, and everyone.
I mean, you're probably safe to visit for now,
I love
but
this debate. Piers, this is why I love your show. because I love free speech. And I love being able to like,
oh my God, this guy's
freaking
out.
Give chin music, right, to like some of the guests who might disagree with me. But it's crazy, Sam. I totally agree with you. Let's defund the lobbyists. I could not agree with you more. In fact, actually, like I do want all of
Will
the
you call
rich
for
people
Donald
who've
Trump to
existed
actually
off the glut
uphold his vow
of the federal
not to
government?
hire
I think that there should be.
lobbyists?
I think there should be a lifetime ban.
Ro-Khanna just
Let me get this very clear.
introduced,
I think there should be a
legislation.
lifetime ban on lobbying for members of Congress. Lifetime ban. I think that lobbying should be severely curtailed in our federal government, and I
You
think
should
that it should
encourage
be illegal.
Republican lawmakers to vote
I think
in
it should be
favor of
illegal.
Ro-Khanna's bill that he just introduced.
It's crazy how you can come to agreements on these things, because actually that's the level of corruption that we're fighting. And I know Jillian cares very deeply about the former head of the FDA who was in charge of pharmaceutical approvals going over to take the top position at Pfizer, which just happened yesterday. That's insane. So we might get agreement here, actually. On
Jillian?
I completely agree with Benny and Sam. I couldn't agree more. And one of the things actually that I would love to see Trump do is get money out of politics. If you really want to drain...
What the fuck? Why do you think Trump would ever get money out of politics? Why? Dude, these people are so fucking delusional. They just say things that have no basis in reality at all. Like, it's completely disconnected from reality. And they're just saying it because it sounds good. They do not care if what they're saying and the message they're putting out there has any basis in reality. There's no realism to anything that they're doing.
In this swamp, you will change those laws. And, you know, for me, in health, which is obviously my wheelhouse, I see it every single day with things like Benny just referenced, the revolving door employment policy with our government health agencies and private industry. So sign me up for that campaign, because I'm with the boys 100%.
Fantastic.
Okay, I
Thank
think
you for being the original mom.
The reason
Thank you for
why
being like the
that
original mom.
budget resolution passed yesterday or 2 days ago was because Donald Trump has access in the form of Elon Musk to literally infinite amounts of money. And that is what has fundamentally changed with our politics. He put at least $300 million, one individual paid for at least 1/4 of Donald Trump's expenditures during that campaign. One single individual. And that's just what we know of direct spending. And if you add in Miriam Adelson and one or two other, I mean, you have literally 4 or 5 people who paid over $500 million for Donald Trump. The idea that he would get money out of politics, his entire administration is about enriching himself and corporate America. That is why you see an assault. That is why you see an assault on the administrative
Bro, this woman looks
state.
like she's in physical
Steve Bannon
pain
called
when
for
Sam
in
talks.
2017, and now we're seeing Elon Musk do it illicitly.
We got to hold it. Just hold it. Hold
Because
it.
it is to allow corporations to profit and privatize their profits and socialize their costs.
Guys, hold your fire.
That's Sam's favorite line. Billionaires want to privatize their profits and socialize their costs. He said the line. He said the line. We need to have like a Sam says the line thing. Okay, who the hell is this guy? George Galloway. That's why you said it, McGoggles. Does Sam talk in this at all? All right, let's play this. Piers calls Galloway Putin's lick spittle.
Donald Trump is going to open every book, every drawer, every filing cabinet, and you're going to be embarrassed.
Okay, final question, George. Can you think of anything negative to say about Vladimir Putin or not?
Well, I wouldn't have voted for him, as I told you.
You wouldn't have voted for him. Okay.
It's this guy. It's this fucking guy that like loves Putin. Yeah, I remember this guy now.
All right.
He always wears his hat.
I got it. So you can't think of anything negative to say about the single most ruthless dictator in the world. And that says it all, George. Anyway, always a pleasure having you on Uncensored. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let me just quickly go to my panel for their reaction. I mean, as you can tell, George and I didn't wholeheartedly agree with each other, although mainly because he was trying to mischaracterize my position on this. I don't have have a problem with what Trump's trying to do with the peace deal. I have a problem with how he's characterizing this. Sam, let me just ask you about that. I think I don't think Trump has a lot of choice or options other than the path he's
right on
pursuing
two
here
issues
to
and
get
wrong on
peace,
everything
and I
else.
applaud him for doing it. But I also think that the way they're trying to characterize this as all coming from Ukraine is utterly disingenuous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just simply a matter of fact that Russia invaded Ukraine. I mean, it's anybody who was sent it was aware of that. I mean, I hope there is peace there. I think the mineral rights deal is both is really, I think, more of a paper tiger than anything else. I don't think that there's really much value in those rare minerals, as they're called. But if it allows for Putin to realize that there's a commitment by the United States and it causes a peace to break out, then I'm all for that. I would appreciate if the United States was not in a position of extracting other countries' resources. We have an obligation to Ukraine because of the 1993 agreement that led to Ukraine giving up the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world, that we would protect them from an invasion by Russia. And so I think there's an obligation we have. But, I think if the Ukrainian people want peace, which my sense is that they are, after 3 years of war, are probably exhausted by this, then I hope this is the fastest route to getting it.
Yeah, I mean, Benny, you and I don't necessarily agree about this, but I think we could probably all agree about Trump trying to get peace is a good thing. I like to see an American president who pursues peace, not war. I also think he's being pragmatic.
Do we have any other segments that are good?
How he deals with the people in his own side, particularly the MAGA support that he has, who are very anti this, of continued support for Ukraine. But if there's a business arrangement to be...
That America is the funder of this war, and dare I say, the reason the war started in the first place with the fake Madian Revolution coup that was totally sponsored by America, Victoria Nuland and John McCain cheersing, having champagne toast as they oversaw it there. Somebody please explain that. Victoria Nuland on tape picking the new Ukrainian cabinet. So, yeah, let's just say that this country is pretty important when it comes to this war, and that Ukraine is effectively a vassal state of the American State Department. I don't like that. I don't want that to be the case. But given the fact that we're funding the war and we're probably the reason why it started in the first place, in part, you would assume that American democracy would be something that we'd be fighting for, because, there's Ukrainian flags all over American neighborhoods, at least in dark blue areas where the smooth
This
branch
guy
is.
is so annoying.
When these people put up a Ukrainian flag, they assume that they're getting American democracy. That's what they assume. I'm getting American democracy. And America doesn't just cancel elections because of emergencies. That doesn't happen.
He's just
in this
yelling.
nation.
Well,
We
you
certainly
just
don't
heard
cancel
from
presidential
Sam
elections.
that the New York
And
election...
we don't close down churches.
Hang on. You just
we
heard...
don't close down churches.
You just
We
heard
don't
from
lock up
Sam...
journalists.
Hang on, Benny.
As a
You
rule,
just heard from
right?
Sam the New York mayoral election was delayed because of the pandemic.
Like, what is he... I'm just trying to wrap my head around his style of propaganda. He's just like, oh yeah, liberals want American democracy, and that's what I thought they wanted because they wear pins, and so since they wear pins, they must want American democracy. That must be what they want. You're just making shit up. You're saying that they want to fight for democracy, and that's why they're fighting in Ukraine. I don't even think that's true. People just want to fight for Ukraine, or at least support Ukraine, because they see it as a victim. That's it. They see it as an injustice. They see Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a strong country bullying a weaker country, and they just want it to stand up for itself. That's why people support it. He's just ascribing these weird niche positions to liberals and then mocking those positions. It's just, of course, it's not constructive, or you're not gaining anything from watching this, but it's just a weird way of destructing arguments.
So there's an example. You do. After 9/11, I'm sorry. After 9/11.
Final thing I'll say on this, and it's a very important point, is that we've been lied to, right? You get lied to that war is about one side being all the devils and one side being the angels.
I agree with that.
And the truth about war, Piers, is that most of the time, both sides are devils.
I agree.
Once again, he's just making up stuff. No one's saying that the Ukrainians are angels and the Russians are devils. People have done bad stuff on both sides. But when we're talking about it in terms of the scale of one nation invading another nation, people want to stand up for the nation that's getting bullied. They want to stand up for the nation that's getting invaded. They want to stand up for the sovereignty of these people that did nothing and are just getting attacked. Because that's human nature. If you see injustice as a human, you want to correct that injustice so that eventually that same kindness might be done upon you. That's just what living in a society means. Even a global society, on a global level, people still have that same kind of reaction.
Well, I don't think both sides.
No, I don't think
the best you can ask for is an ugly peace instead of a hot, bloody war. And yes, I agree with you. My brother from another mother across the pond.
Oh my God, this guy's so fucking annoying.
Piers, that the killing should end and the dying should end.
Okay, Gillian,
I'd say Zelensky is a dictator.
He's not. Putin's a dictator. But Gillian, final word to you.
Maybe they're both dictators.
Okay, if I could put on my tin hat and wrap myself in tinfoil, being as sober and judicial as possible, I follow the money here. So yes, I agree with you. Putin is a really bad guy, but it obviously takes two or more than two. And if you follow the money, when you hear out of Zelensky's own mouth, it's like, oh, I didn't take money. I got the money in the form of weapons. Well, who got rich off the weapons? Defense contractors. Okay, then what assets did Ukraine have? Well, they had the breadbasket, which was farming land second only to Iowa across the globe. It was one of their top resources. And then in 2021, there was land market reform from financial pressures due to global financial institutions, forcing them to open up that land to, guess who? Cargill, ADM, so on and so forth. So they were able to capture that resource. And then what did they have left? They had minerals left. So now Putin gets to keep, I think he has 2 territories where he'll...
Yeah, so just in terms of Zelensky being a dictator, the Ukrainian parliament affirms Zelensky's legitimacy. 268 members were present on Tuesday, and they all voted unanimously to approve the resolution to say that he is the legitimate president of Ukraine and that they're not going to hold elections until after the wartime period is over. About 12 other MPs were not present during the session. So, yeah, Zelensky's about as far away from being a dictator as you can in terms of still having, like, support of people that are against his party. Probably anyway, does this woman, like, actually say anything? Anyway, guys, that's it for Sam Cedar. That was pretty funny. And just for levity, we got to bring this up as a debate moment.
Of harm, and mine is more about the individual is the small, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I'm curious about the second part of that. You said, you know what I mean, because I really don't.
Oh,
mine is
so
about minimizing harm.
The two philosophies
about feeling
violating the ethics of an individual is violating ethics regardless, and yours is minimization of harm is better. So utilitarian versus deontological. From my standpoint, committing one unethical act is a violation of principle and ethics that can't be crossed. But I will admit, there's not like a hard line. It's you know.
I think that is silly, to be honest with you.
I mean, I respect you, you know, but they're very strong philosophical positions held by most people.
I believe that less suffering is better, and that I am willing to.
I will tell you something you won't like to hear, though.
I'm willing to sully myself if that's the outcome.
But I'll tell you something you're not going to want to hear, and I admit it's I'll call it dickish. Utilitarianism is typically the villain in most movies.
I don't care.
Yeah, so for instance, like Thanos was utilitarian and Captain America was deontological.
I didn't.
So Thanos willing to reduce the suffering by killing, hundreds of trillions versus the, thousands of trillions, which would be living better off. So,
But I'm not
it's like comic book movies.
I'm not having to kill anybody. I'm just voting and choosing.
I mean, if you vote in favor of somebody who's going to build a concentration camp, you are.
No, one of these people is going.
Bro, that's so funny. Not to be a little bit dickish, but he gets that little Tim grin on his face. This might be a little bit dickish, but utilitarians are usually the villains in every movie. First of all, that's not true. Thanos was a unique villain because people were actually like, whoa, wait, is this worldview something that I could actually get behind? Like, he's making compelling arguments. He broke the mold of villainy because of his unique take on his role in the universe. And then says just I don't care. I didn't see it. I'm not having to kill anyone. That lady on Piers was on Biggest Loser. I think the reality weight loss show was called. Yeah, she was. I think she was some kind of trainer or something. Anyway. All right. How long have we been going? Almost 3 hours. Let's watch I keep wanting to say Elise Stefanik. Yeah, let's watch Alyssa Slotkin. That's who it is. I want to watch Alyssa Slotkin's response to the it's not the State of the Union. It's the joint address to Congress. Alyssa Slotkin response. So 15 hours ago, 28 minutes ago. Where is her response? Here it is. All right, I'm going to watch this and then I'm going to call it for the night. So, before we get into this, I need to pull up Kyle Kalinske on Twitter to just have his Alyssa Slotkin tweet pulled up. Kyle Kalinske. Here we go. This should be him. Trump is using this young man who has brain cancer as a prop while Doge cut funding for pediatric cancer research. Yeah, that's a good point. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. This is a fascist cult. Trump, one way or the other, we're gonna get Greenland. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I noticed that line too. Goddamn, Kyle's a fucking machine on Twitter. What the fuck? Is this actually Elon Musk? Wow, he does not look good. And man, he can he paid for that hair. He can form it in whatever way he wants. That's still the barber that he goes to. Maybe I should just search Slotkin. Kyle's a prolific Twitter user. It might be a ways away. Slotkin. Man, I hate watching this. I hate using Twitter. Alyssa. Okay, whatever. Let's just watch this shit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Slotkin. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak tonight. It's late, so I promise to be a lot shorter than what you just watched. I won't take it personally if you've never heard of me. I'm the new senator from the great state of Michigan, where I grew up. I've been in public service my entire life because I happened to be in New York City on 9/11 when the Twin Towers came down. Before the smoke cleared, I knew I wanted to make a life in national security. I was recruited by the CIA and did 3 tours in Iraq alongside the military. In between, I worked at the White House under President Bush and President Obama, 2 very different leaders who both believed that America is exceptional. You can find that same sense of patriotism here in Wyandotte, Michigan, where I'm speaking from tonight. It's a working class town just south of Detroit. President Trump and I both won here in November. It might not seem like it, but plenty of places like this still exist across the United States. Places where people believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should do well and your kids should do better. It reminds me of how I grew up. My dad was a lifelong Republican, my mom a lifelong Democrat. But it was never a big deal because we had shared values that were bigger than any one party. We just went through another fraught election season. Americans made it clear that prices are too high and that the government needs to be more responsive to their needs. America wants change, but there's a responsible way to make change and a reckless way. And we can make that change without forgetting who we are as a country and as a democracy. So that's what I'm going to lay out tonight. Because whether you're from Wyandotte or Wichita, most Americans share three core beliefs: that the middle class is the engine of our country, that strong national security protects us from harm, and that our democracy, no matter how messy, is unparalleled and worth fighting for. Let's start with the economy. Michigan literally invented the middle class, the revolutionary idea that you could work at an auto plant and afford the car.
Yeah, this isn't AI. The quality is just trash. All right, so what are the main 3 points of her speech?
Without forgetting who we are as a country and as a democracy. So that's what I'm going to lay out tonight. Because whether you're from Wyandotte or Wichita, most Americans share three core beliefs: that the middle class is the engine of our country, that strong national security protects us from harm, and that our democracy, no matter how messy, is unparalleled and worth fighting for.
Okay, so middle class is the engine of our country. National security, we need a strong national security. Kind of rich to say that when we're the bullies trying to take over the rest of the world. And democracy is worth fighting for. Democracy good. These are not good points to run on. So listen, when maybe in 2028, when Donald Trump runs for a third term, you can use the democracy talking point. But right now, people don't really care about democracy. People care about their jobs getting cut, and they're reaching out to Donald Trump. They're yelling at their Republican congressmen. They want action. They want some kind of retribution. They want the price of eggs to go down. So even when we're talking about this middle class engine, I don't think that's a good way to be looking at it. I think we're past the idea of him bolstering the middle class. I think at this point it should simply be about attacking billionaires and taxing the rich. None of this, I'm going to build up the middle class. The middle class is gone. People don't care about the middle class anymore. You're either like a millionaire or you're working a wage slave job, trying to make ends meet, like paycheck to paycheck you're living. You're not able to function. You can't run on the middle class. You have to run on true populist values. And if you want to run on the middle class, talk about attacking the rich. I don't want to hear we need to help people who create small businesses in majority neighborhoods, or we need to help give them a $25,000 loan to buy their house when they're first-time home buyers. Just say fucking tax the rich, man. It's never been a simpler strategy laid out for you. It's a layup. Donald Trump is the most wealthiest and most corrupt cabinet in history. In the history of the fucking world, he is. And, bro, if they don't say tax the rich in this, that is a crime. That is a crime against the Democratic Party.
Let's start with the economy. Michigan literally invented the middle class, the revolutionary idea that you could work at an auto plant and afford the car you were building. That's the American dream. And in order to expand and protect the middle class, we have to do a few basic things. We need to bring down the price of things we spend the most money on: groceries, housing, healthcare. We need to make more things in America with good-paying union jobs and bring our supply chains back home from places like China. We need to give American businesses the certainty they need to invest and create the jobs of the future. And we need a tax system that's fair for people who don't happen to make $1 billion. Look, the president talked a big game on the economy, but it's always important to read the fine print. So, do his plans actually help Americans get ahead? Not even close. President Trump is trying to deliver an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends. He's on the hunt to find trillions of dollars to pass along to the wealthiest in America. And to do that, he's going to make you pay in every part of your life. Grocery and home prices are going up, not down, and he hasn't laid out a credible plan to deal with either of those. His tariffs on allies like Canada will raise prices on energy, lumber, and cars, and start a trade war that will hurt manufacturing and farmers. Your premiums and prescriptions will cost more because the math on his proposals doesn't work without going.
I fucking hate this language, man. She's like, he's looking for ways to give tax money to people. Your premiums will cost more. Price of living will go up. No, motherfucker. It all is happening already. Price of living has already gone up. People have already been fired from their jobs. Social Security has already been attacked. Your medicine has already gone up because Trump got rid of bills that Biden put in place that capped the price of insulin. Now that cap is gone and people are paying what used to be like $20. Now they're paying like $80 for their medicine every month. I'm tired of this. This is going to happen in the future shtick that the Democrats have. I need a little bit of urgency. She seems way too complacent and treating this like any other administration. No other administration has taken a hatchet to the services that the federal government provides, like what we're seeing right now. We've just been in this for over a month, and it's already like dramatically changed people's feelings. We have massive tariffs. I don't want to hear this hypothetical in the future bullshit that they're giving us right now. Give me some urgency.
Going after your health care. Meanwhile, for those keeping score, the national debt is going up, not down.
Oh, yeah, the national debt. Please run on that. The Democrats need to run on the national debt. Oh, wow, Donald Trump raised the national debt. He's such a hypocrite, guys, right? Wow, Donald Trump's a hypocrite. Vote for the Democrats, because we're not hypocrites, even though, we are, and we don't actually do anything. But vote for us, because we're not hypocrites. Give me a fucking plan of attack. You haven't... What's your plan of attack? You want to make so far she said she's going to make the middle class pay their fare. She literally said we're going to, well, she didn't literally say it, but she said we're going to make the middle class pay a fair tax. So no, and she's talking about billionaires. She hasn't said tax the billionaires. She said we're going to tax the middle class in a way that's going to let them have a lower cost of living or whatever. Are we going to mention the tariffs?
Careful. He could walk us right into a recession. And one more thing. In order to pay...
Motherfucker! He just passed tariffs. The stock market is collapsing right now. And you're like, if we're not careful, he could walk us right into a recession? Bro, the Democrats need to be stopped. The Democrats they're a plague on this country, man. Holy crap, they're literally weaponized their ineffectualness against progressive people. This is insane. Do the Democrats only exist to run defense for Republicans? I swear that's what it is. They're basically a PR campaign that's like, oh, don't worry, guys. I know the stock market is collapsing, but the Republicans down the road, this could be bad. Guys, don't worry. It's crazy. Oh, I knew this was going to be bad, but when she's really saying that potentially we could be walked into a recession.
Down. And if he's not careful, he could walk us right into a recession. And one more thing. In order to pay for his plan, he could very well come after your retirement. The Social Security, Medicare...
Oh my fucking God. He could do this. He could do that. He is. They fired 200 Social Security workers. They just passed a bill cutting $800 billion in mandatory spending, which is going to be cut directly from Medicaid. Yeah, he could do this. He could do that. Holy shit, this is pissing me off so much.
Care and VA benefits you worked your whole life to earn. The president claims he won't, but Elon Musk just called Social Security the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. While we're on the subject of Elon Musk, is there anyone in America who is comfortable with him and his gang of 20-year-olds using their own computer servers to poke through your tax returns, your health information, and your bank accounts? No oversight, no protections against cyber attack, no guardrails on what they do with your private data.
Okay, that's a good talking point.
You need a more efficient government. You want to cut waste? I'll help you do it. But change doesn't need to be chaotic.
No, I'm sorry. We do not need a more efficient government, okay? I'm sorry, we don't need a more efficient government. When I think of the government, what I don't want is efficiency. What I don't want is a lack of redundancy in government systems. I want the federal government to be like the post office, where they're slow, they're lumbering, but they're going to get the job done. Okay? They go anywhere. They cover the entirety of the United States. I don't need this efficiency where people aren't going to get service in some areas of the government because it's not efficient enough. I don't need people to be like, oh, well, you're too far away from, like, we means tested the fire department and it turns out you're too far away from this. Or, you know, you got Social Security and we're only going to give you like Social Security if you meet this kind of income bracket. No, I want people to get paid, taxed, repaid, retaxed. I want this to be maximum inefficiencies so that we actually have everything covered. I don't want an efficient government. I can't believe that no one was talking about government efficiency. No one was talking about it until Trump got elected president. Why are the Democrats picking this ball up and running with it? No, ignore it. Who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck. A big reason I don't want to. The big reason that I don't want the Democrats to be talking about efficiency and government efficiency is because that's a talking point of the Republicans. I want the Democrats to be like, the government is fine. Congress allocated these funds. These funds are being used fine. We have people looking at fraud. I want them to keep focused on fraud because anything could be inefficient if we're like, depending on who's determining if it's inefficient or not. Keep the conversation on fraud. Isn't that what Doge was trying to find in the first place? Waste, fraud, and abuse, not inefficiencies. Shut the fuck up about inefficiencies. I don't want people to look at like if I had a handicapped daughter and see her getting money from the government and they pay for a wheelchair and they're like, well, that was inefficient. Why'd they splurge on the fancy wheelchair when 2 wheels and a board would suffice? I don't want you to talk about inefficiency when it comes to the government helping people. If anything, you can talk about fraud. But what I want them to do is stay on the idea that there's like this gang of 20-year-olds with no oversight helping a billionaire enrich himself by going in and violating everyone's privacy, going into all aspects of the government when they don't have any kind of approval or a security clearance at all. I don't want them to conflate that with trying to find efficiency. That is about a man destroying the structures of governance and empowering himself, enriching himself, using this unprecedented tool that he created, he came up with, he designed to empower himself. I don't want the Democrats to talk about, oh, we understand you want efficiency. We're going to give you efficiency, but it needs to be done through oversight. Well, that's not very efficient, is it? If you have a group trying to find efficiency and you have them being oversighted by someone, and then that oversight board has another oversight board, that's the fucking bureaucracy of the US government. It's insane. It's fucking insane that a single person just enriching themselves now has the Democratic Party being like, we want efficiency too. It's crazy. I can't believe how shitty the Democrats are. I actually can't believe it. Like, I knew this response was going to be bad. I did not think it was going to be as bad as it is right now.
Less safe. The mindless firing of people who work to protect our nuclear weapons, keep our planes from crashing, and conduct the research that finds the cure for cancer, only to rehire them 2 days later. No CEO in America could do that without being summarily fired. Okay, so we've talked about economic security. How about national security? Let's start with the border. As someone who spent my whole career protecting our homeland, every country deserves to know who and what is coming across its border. Period. Democrats and Republicans should all be for that. But securing the border without actually fixing our broken immigration system is dealing with the symptom and not the disease. America is a nation of immigrants. We need a functional system keyed to the needs of our economy that allows vetted people to come and work here legally. So I look forward to the president's plan on that. Because here's the thing. Today's world is deeply interconnected. Migration, cyber threats, AI, environmental destruction, terrorism. One nation cannot face these issues alone. We need friends in all corners, and our safety depends on it. President Trump loves to say peace through strength. That's actually a line he stole from Ronald Reagan. But let me tell you, after the spectacle that just took place in the Oval Office last week, Reagan must be rolling in his grave. We all want an end to the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America.
Okay, so she's off the border, sis. She's off the border topic now. She's like, no, we like strong borders too, but like Donald Trump's not dealing with the root of the issue, and so I'd love to see his plan on that, and then moves on. Holy fuck, dude. Can you give any kind of, like, can you give any nod towards the complete and utter dehumanization that migrant communities in this country have experienced underneath Donald Trump's Gestapo-like border patrol that he's been using to round up people, sending them to Guantanamo Bay? You can't... I mean, bro, she literally voted for the Laken Riley Act, so it's not like she can be like, oh, we need to give our immigrant communities like due process too. They have the same rights as everyone else. She can't even say that because she doesn't think immigrants have the same right as other people. She thinks they're less than like white people, basically. Fucking, it's so gross, man. This is your topic of immigration. You realize Donald Trump won the election off of immigration, and this is her response to his immigration? Bro, the Democrats are getting their asses railed. Like, literally, Donald Trump had a menagerie of victims of some kind of, like, non-white violence. And your response to that is, well, you're just dealing with the symptoms, not the underlying causes, so I can't wait to see your plan for that. Bro, the Democrats have learned nothing. This is... I'm not trying to sound sexist, but this is like Hillary Clinton 2.0, where... she's like, oh, when they go, this is the when they go low, we go high thing. Oh, well, you say that you want to do immigration, but you haven't actually come up with a plan. You know what? He has reduced immigration. Immigration, at least like the immigration encounters on the southern border are way down below anything in the past like 10 years because he has done like just a brutal crackdown on migrants that ICE has been deporting. That has caused immigration to go down. So what, you have nothing to say for that? Because that seems to be pretty effective. So I guess you're in favor of Donald Trump treating immigrants like an invading force and completely stripping them of all of their human rights. Okay, bro. Dude, fuck this woman. This woman sucks.
America to
and the issue is it's not just her, right? She is emblematic of the Democratic Party. Chuck Schumer says she's a rising star. She's a rising Democratic star. When her response to Donald Trump talking about all of the pretty white women that got murdered by immigrants is, well, you just dealt with the symptom, but what's the underlying cause? I'd love to see you have a plan for that.
our military and economic might with moral clarity. And that scene in the Oval Office wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like the Canadians in the teeth. He sees American leadership as merely a series of real estate transactions. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump...
Holy fuck, suck Reagan's dead cock more. Oh my God. Yes, please tell me how good Reagan was compared to Donald Trump. You realize Donald Trump's basically... like his whole economic plan and the whole idea of the Republicans like coalescing behind Trump is exactly what Reagan did.
Would have lost us the Cold War. Donald Trump's actions suggest that in his heart, he doesn't believe we're an exceptional nation. He clearly doesn't think we should lead the world. Look, America is not perfect, but I stand with the majority of Americans who believe we are still exceptional, unparalleled. And I would rather have American leadership over Chinese or Russian leadership any day of the week. Because for generations, America has offered something better. Our security and our prosperity, yes, but our democracy, our very system of government, has been the aspiration of the world.
She really just made the argument Donald Trump doesn't believe in America first, but we do. Because she'd rather have American leadership than Chinese leadership or Russian leadership. Well, it seems like you don't like the American leadership now. Like, what the fuck is this? What are you campaigning on? What are you campaigning on? You're campaigning on America first? That's what Trump did.
And right now, it's at risk. It's at risk when the president decides you can pick and choose what rules you want to follow, when he ignores court orders and the Constitution itself, or when elected leaders stand by and just let it happen. But it's also at risk when the president pits Americans against each other, when he demonizes those who are different and tells certain people they shouldn't be included. Because America is not just a patch of land between two oceans. We are more than that. Generations have fought and died to secure the fundamental rights that define us.
What, are you going to talk about the deportations? Are you going to talk about how he's trying to ban trans people from public life? Are you going to talk about all of the DEI initiatives that he completely got rid of with no replacements? Are you going to talk about any of that? Or are you going to say that, oh, he's mean to Democrats and he's saying Democrats shouldn't be included? Are you going to give any examples?
Those rights and the fight for them make us who we are. We're a nation of strivers, risk takers, innovators, and we are never satisfied. That is America's superpower. And look, I've lived and worked in many countries. I've seen democracies flicker out. I've seen what life is like when a government is rigged. You can't open a business without paying off a corrupt official. You can't criticize the guys in charge without getting a knock at the door in the middle of the night. So as much as we need to make our government more responsive to our lives today, don't for one moment fool yourself that democracy isn't precious and worth saving. But how do we actually do that? I know a lot of you have been asking that question. First, don't tune out. It's easy to be exhausted, but America needs you now more than ever. If previous generations had not fought for this democracy, where would we be today? Second, hold your elected officials, including me, accountable. Watch how they're voting. Go to town halls and demand they take action. That's as American as apple pie. Third, organize. Pick just one issue you're passionate about and engage. And doom scrolling doesn't count. Join a group that cares about your issue.
Bro, what the fuck is happening? Why is it that Democratic politicians are telling their voters, guys, I know that Donald Trump is bad. Don't worry, I have a plan. My plan is you guys do all of the work. My plan is you guys organize. You know, I'm going to need you to hold me accountable because I'm not going to do anything. I don't care. Their plan is to, I need you guys to stay informed, stay up to date, watch how I'm voting. Maybe you should have like daily updates of what Donald Trump is doing that's bad. Maybe you should have daily updates of what Doge did. Maybe you should have like even daily conferences or make a YouTube video about what you voted on today. Maybe you should be involved in keeping the American people up to date. Maybe you should be involved in organizing, and maybe you should hold yourself accountable. What the, like, dude, yes, American people should get engaged, but why are the Democrat leaders saying you need to do all of the work? You have been elected to fight against Republicans. And you're like, you should be asking me, how can we fight back against this? That's so great that you're volunteering the American people, because I'm not going to do anything. I need you to hold me accountable. No, they don't want that. Like, this is just, literally, they're putting all of the agency to fight against Donald Trump. This has to be some kind of like a backroom Democratic strategy that they've come up with. Oh, we just need people to march because we're not going to do anything. Like, literally, the Democrats' plan is to not do anything, have people march, have people get mad, and then they're going to get voted in the midterms. Meanwhile, this country is going to have fallen apart. And I don't know, like, I think they don't see themselves as a necessary agent to push back against this. They see themselves as powerless. And they think that, well, if there's enough people in the streets, then change will happen, right? How is change going to happen? What we need you guys that have access to like the levers of power to try to slow down the levers. You need to arrest the people that are working for Doge. You need to make it physically impossible for Doge to enter into these agencies, to get access to files, to cut funding, to fire people. You need to like change the fucking passwords so that these guys don't have access there. Make it as difficult as possible. Work with courts. Be like, okay, what can I do to help enforce your ruling on this? And if people are ignoring the rulings of judges and they're being held in contempt of court, punish them. You need to like call out these specific people that are violating judges' orders. I don't know. It blows my mind that their plan is no plan. That their plan is, you guys do all of the work. Hold me accountable. Yell at me in town halls. Stay tuned to the news and keep up on what the evils Trump is doing.
And act. And if you can't find one, start one. Some of the most important movements in our history have come from the bottle up. In closing, we all know that our country is going through something right now. We're not sure what the next day is going to hold, let alone the next decade. But this isn't the first time we've experienced significant...
Maybe you can use some of your intelligence, maybe you can use some of your experience as a CIA agent working underneath George Bush's administration and Barack Obama's administration to do some analysis and try to predict what's going to happen tomorrow and try to predict what's going to happen a decade from now. Maybe you can do that as a fucking senator. You're an elected senator. And you say we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow? It's a scary time. We don't know what's going to happen, so you should get out of the streets. This is how the local Dem party is where I live, and it infuriates me. Feels like a sprint to the finish line just to get the bag. No one is actually hustling, and there's no strategy. There's no strategy, dude. Liberals seem to think that everything is fine, and I think liberals actually enjoy the fact that Donald Trump is ruining this country because they see it as, oh, well, this is just a natural part of the political process. The Democrats won, they had power, and now the Republicans have power. And now the Democrats are going to have power again because it just swings back and forth. It's just a pendulum. This is just a natural part of history being made. We don't have to do anything. Of course, people are going to see that this is a horrible administration and they're going to vote for us. We can just relax and then take power in the midterms and then try to hold power and take it again, take even more in 2028. You don't have to do anything. And it's like, this country is being fundamentally altered and remade in the shape of billionaires. The billionaires that are running this country. And they know they only have basically 2 years to get away with this. They're like, they own pretty much every media outlet now. At least even the ones that are in theory resistance against Republicans. They've fired the people that are super anti-Trump. They own the means of production. Like, I guess I agree with her in the sense that I don't know how far gone like our military is going to be, but I can definitely foresee a situation where Donald Trump only has loyalist generals in charge of the military. There's a constitutional crisis where the Democrats maybe have control of the Congress. Maybe they just have a federal judge giving an order, and Donald Trump decides to resist it, and he has the military in his pocket now, and so he's able to resist it. And even if the Democrats have like some federal police or something trying to charge Trump or charge some other official, you're going to have Trump like having the military send in orders to release them, and you're going to have this whole issue. And the Democrats are going to be completely dumbfounded by this because they think this is just another liberal administration. And it's just the pendulum swinging back and forth between Democrats and Republicans for eternity. Like, I think the people like Alyssa Slotkin and Chuck Schumer and Amy Klobuchar and all of these fucking libbed up Dems, they don't have any urgency. Hakeem Jeffries, he's a huge one. He's the one he said, I treat the far left and the far right equally. Okay, bro. I just quit my job trying to do some more on the ground work. Things are bad here in South Carolina, even in Dem controlled areas. Yeah, it's rough. That's awesome that you're doing on the ground work. It'll take a century to fix. No, it seriously will take a century to fix. And I know that the Democrats don't have a majority in the Senate or the House of Representatives right now. And they really just have like federal judges, because even the Supreme Court's probably going to do everything in their power to appease Trump in some way. But like, I seriously think they can be doing more. They can be, I mean, first of all, they need to have a much stronger and coherent campaign message. It can't be this fucking piddly, oh, we need to like help build up the middle class. We need to have national security. Oh, you say that you want to have a strong border, but you don't have any like actual border policies to fix the underlying issues with the border. It's like, this is all ridiculous shit. What we need to do is target billionaires. There's a lot of angst in this country right now. There's a lot of anger at billionaires, at like, people have started to correctly identify the cause of their poor quality of life as being done by billionaires. And that's an energy that the Democrats can pick up and run with. And they are refusing to. They don't want to touch that energy with a 10-foot pole, because it might mean that they have a drop in their personal wealth, because they're not getting personally financed as much by like massive corporations. And I would encourage everyone listening to me right now to call your senator, call your local representative, call your congressional rep, and call your state senators too, and demand that they put their voice behind banning super PACs in Democratic primaries, because I know that's not the end all be all of issues of money in politics, but it is a start. And I think that's a pretty tangible step forward. It's a significant step forward, and it's something that is achievable, at least in theory. It's something that the Democrats shouldn't super be opposed to, because in the primaries, if they're going against Republicans, sure, get all the super PAC money they want. But if we can ban that in the general election, if they want super PACs to go up against Republicans, that's fine. But in the primaries, like, that's an in-party contest. They can pass any rules they want. And so there's not like any hurdles that you need to jump through other than just getting people on board. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to call their senators. I've been doing that. I might send another call tomorrow. Maybe I'll stream that. But anyway, let's finish this up. It's so disappointing. So the Democrats can be doing more. They can be siding with the federal courts, the federal judges. Of course, they've been doing a great job of fighting it in the courts. Like, not Democrats, but like attorney generals have been doing a great job. Support your attorney generals. I need way more. I just need more highlighting of the evils that Doge is doing. And I don't want the Democrats to be like, well, my strategy is to tell my constituents to keep up with the news. No, that's not good enough. I need you to be campaigning. I need you to be holding rallies. Go to conservative districts. Go to your own district. Listen to your own voters. Take advice from them. I don't want you to be like, dude, it's fucking insulting when Democrats are like, you guys should organize because we know that every great movement started from the bottom up. But you're in power. If it started from the bottom up, why are you trying to be involved in creating it? You're in power. You should work from the top down. Like, you should work with the tools that you have and let us work with the tools we have.
Change as a country. I'm a student of history, and we've gone through periods of political instability before. And ultimately, we've chosen to keep changing this country for the better. But every single time, we've only gotten through those moments because of two things: engaged citizens and principled leaders. Engaged citizens who do a little bit more than they're used to doing to fight for the things that they care about, and principled leaders who are ready to receive the ball and do something about it. So thank you tonight for caring about your country. Just by watching, you qualify as engaged citizens. And I promise that I and my fellow Democrats will do everything in our power to be the principled leaders that you deserve. Good night, everyone.
This is insane. Why are you setting up that dichotomy of engaged citizens and, what does she say? Principled leaders? Principled. We get it. You're fucking principled. When Donald Trump's going to call you a cunt, you're going to just smile there and take it. You're not going to get down in the dirt with him. When he calls Kamala Harris like a dumb bitch, she just like laughs. She doesn't play those games. She's not like, oh yeah, I'm black. And when Donald Trump says, well, I didn't know she was black. Is she black or is she Indian? I don't know. Like, yeah, you're principled. Good for you. That's enough. Why do the Democrats think that if they're principled, that's enough to win? That's enough to actually fight back. You say you want engaged constituents, and you want to be principled? I want you to be principled and engaged. Why can't you be engaged too? I want engaged constituents and principled and engaged leaders. It's crazy that this is the fucking dichotomy that they're setting up. I will be the shining beacon at the top of the hill, and underneath is going to be my legions of loyal constituents that have been activated by me. And I, like the Statue of Liberty, being a beacon of hope to the huddled masses of immigrants, will lead this groundswell of anti-Donald Trump fervor, and we will march to the White House and demand that Donald Trump brings what? That he leaves office? That he abdicates the White House? What are you gonna do? Like, seriously, I just want one person to give me some concrete ideas on how to deal with this. I mean, I have some. I want an actual politician to give me those. They're trying to implement DOGE here in South Carolina, a commission of elite businessmen to say which regulations to cut, essentially to advise the legislature. Well, I mean, if they are advising the legislature, that is a step up of what DOGE actually is. They need to do their jobs, LOL, weak sauce response, Slotkin. They're here to save us from the great darkness and take us into the light. Yeah, that's true. It's like some Lord of the Rings bullshit, except Gandalf actually got on his horse and went into battle with a sword. He didn't just stand there the entire time waving his wand around like Elise Slotkin is going to do. It's the exact same thing with Brian Schlatt, too, or Schatz, where he's like, oh, I don't like to be anticipatory about these things. I don't want to speak a constitutional crisis into existence, so we'll just cross that road when we get there. Come up with, can you do something? Can you say that you're going to do something? These people can't even say that they're going to do anything. And no, their idea is we're going to become more conservative too. I mean, you heard her. She's like, no, we want more government efficiency. Shut the fuck up about the government efficiency. We do want stronger borders, but we want to actually like address the underlying root cause of immigration. What's the underlying root cause of immigration? Is it U.S. foreign policy? Because you didn't mention that at all. You didn't mention how destabilizing it's going to be if the United States takes over the Panama Canal or takes over Greenland. How much refugee, like how many refugees is that going to create? Elise Slotkin. You didn't mention any of that shit. You're just like, we need a strong military? You want the United States to be the ruler over China and Russia? Wow, you're really differentiating yourself from Donald Trump. That's exactly what Donald Trump ran on. Holy shit. Like, they're literally just trying to adopt Donald Trump's campaign. They're just trying to adopt Donald Trump's campaign. And they're calling it, oh yeah, this is our new strategy. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. So anyway, guys, like, of course, try to find like-minded people in your own communities. That's, I think, like a really important step, so that you have people you can lean on, have people that you can organize with at a local level. But if you don't have time to do that, at the very least, call your representative, call your congressperson, call your senator, tell them to do town halls, yell at them to ban super PACs in Democratic primaries. That's a really easy thing to just like slam into the phones. And it's something that they can't really turn down flat. So anyway, I think that like organize with people, of course, if you can. Just like talk with your friends about this stuff too, because it is important to have a community that you can rely on when people's jobs are in danger, when people are getting their social safety nets cut out from underneath them, especially with cuts coming to Medicaid. That's going to be a big issue if people do get sick and need assistance. The government is just not going to be there in the ways that it was, in like the minute ways that it already was. It's not going to be there anymore. So it's really important. And like, yeah, take care of yourself. But if you want to call your representative, demand they do town halls, demand that they give their support to banning super PACs in Democratic primaries. I really think that's like a big way forward. And that's the first step to primarying people like this, like soulless people like this that don't believe in anything, and getting them out of the Democratic Party. I really think that's like an important thing. And I know it's not like we're ushering in a new socialist revolution, but and just use the line, this is a way for the Democratic primary or for the Democratic Party to differentiate itself from the oligarchs that have completely taken over the Republican Party. I like, if they're not going to take a stand against money in politics now, the Democratic Party's lost. While you wait for your asylum hearing, you are here illegally, technically. Yep. A huge problem is we don't have a legal path to asylum, which we are supposed to. The way to deal with immigration is to legalize it and make it easier to move. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, Michael, you literally just made a more clear and cohesive argument that Alyssa Slotkin. I keep wanting to say Elise Stefanik. Alyssa Slotkin. You made a more coherent and compelling argument that Alyssa Slotkin did. Like, bro, let's just have Michael give the Democratic response to this. It's crazy. So it's disappointing, man. All right, guys, I'm going to be done. I'm going to be done streaming for today. Thanks for tuning in. I'll probably be streaming during the day tomorrow. So check in for that, and I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for watching, everyone. This was a fun time.